Hello, everybody, and welcome to the stream.
Hey guys.
Spoiler, Doug, it's the right one.
Okay.
I nailed it.
Well, I'm still on YouTube, and it's not. It says waiting for Sibling Revelry.
It's up. We're live.
Okay.
Hit refresh.
Oh, that's right. I'm on the whatchamacallit. There it is. I'm on the new Wi-Fi. That's why. Hi guys. I'll let you take it over. You had a thing you wanted to do.
No, this is intro first. We'll do intro first.
Okay, well, we're live, so maybe intro the show instead of acting like a wet blanket.
Hey, do you have a stream running right now?
Do I have a stream running?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, you're good. You're good.
This has got to be fascinating for people.
No, I know. How was your week, man?
Honestly, I don't know if you're leading into something, but if you're genuinely asking me how my week was, welcome to Sibling Revelry, by the way. Why don't we introduce the show? This is technically the first time we're doing this from our new channel.
Yeah, and the reason I want you to talk is because I'm monitoring all the stuff that's up right now.
Okay. So hi, welcome to Sibling Revelry with Doug and Paul. I'm Doug. That dipshit's Paul.
Paul,
I don't like
that while I was drinking.
No problem. I got to change this blur. I don't like the blur. It looks like crap. So, anyway, basically, if you're watching us, thank you for being here. This is the first time we're streaming live from the new YouTube channel for the show Sibling Revelry exclusively and specifically. Formerly, as of last week, Brothers from the Same Mother. It was the offshoot podcast of Brothers from Other Mothers, which we do with Bob and John, which is in its second season. Check it out. Also, check out Bob and Doug Save You from Boredom, whatever. And shameless plugs. And it's this
Link
basically.
The links for Brothers from Other Mothers are in the description on the video. I will add Bob and Doug that has all your links too.
Okay, absolutely. Please, thank you.
But for Brothers from Other Mothers, everything's below. Okay.
So anyway, basically, this is the exact same podcast. This is Brothers from the Same Mother, the Saturday show that we've been doing at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. It's just a different name and a different look to it, but it's the same show, and we wanted to kind of separate it. Paul wanted to separate it as well. We both wanted to separate it. No, I said you wanted to create all the different accounts for it and the graphics.
Hi, Kim.
Hey, Kim. But what I think we collectively wanted to do was separate it because Brothers from the Same Mother and Brothers from Other Mothers sound so very similar, and I didn't want people to get confused. And I didn't want people to get confused as to why one was on Saturday and then one was on some Sundays, because I know Brothers from Other Mothers, we initially talked about doing it once a month when everybody's schedules met up, and then we just happened to be able to do it like periodically every week, it felt like. And I would love to do that again, hopefully in the next weekend or two, whenever the guys are ready to do it. But we decided to do this to kind of separate the two. That's a long-winded intro. I'll be honest with you. I've been eating a lot of apples all day.
I'll pick it up from here. So we are live right now on YouTube and Rumble. If you chat in the YouTube stream, I can bring it up on screen. If you chat in Rumble, I cannot currently bring it up, but I will read it out loud. I do have the Rumble chat up on the side, so if you do chat, we'll every now and then we'll bring it up and I'll mention it vocally. And Odyssey, we can't live stream on Odyssey right now, but once I'm capable of doing it, we'll also live stream on Odyssey. If you want to watch on Odyssey, the videos will be up right after we air every Saturday night. So that's the tech side of the house, and we're all good. We're green light on everything right now. As far as my week went, this was week 1 of new diet, so I'm on day number 6 of eating nothing but chicken and vegetables.
Why don't you tell the audience why you're on this new diet?
Liver issues, and in concentration with the liver issues, there's a possibility of diabetes. So
you got the diabetes?
No, I don't. But my doctor said if I don't clean up my diet and I pull numbers like I did last time, she's going to diagnose me with it, and then we're going to go the medical route for diabetes. Then I'll go to Wilford Brimley.
You're going to have the Wilford Brimley. You're going to have co-Wilford Brimley.
I'm not diabetic. It's just when I went to do my blood work, my liver's out of whack. Part of the liver enzyme being out of whack. And I've had liver issues for a couple of years now, but And here I am drinking a beer. I told my doctor, I was like, I'm drinking beer on Saturday nights. She's like, just don't drink every night.
Man.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
hey,
that's it.
I didn't drink for the longest time until we started doing the Saturday show, and now I'm like, all right, I can have a couple beers with him. It is fun, but I do feel the impact of the calories, which is, I mean, I went for a cheap beer tonight because it, poor, but man, I'll tell you, I don't care. I kind of want Bud Light Next, where it's like almost, I don't even know how many calories it is. It's like nothing.
I bought it.
How many calories?
It's God. I just threw the box away. Let me grab a can. I'm drinking up. I got a Molson and a Bud Light left, so I'm drinking those up first.
So far, Miller High Life has a decent taste to it for a beer. It's what I remember as a kid with our dad, but it's not packing a punch as far as like what I would normally feel a few sips.
Bud Light Next, zero carbs, 80 calories.
Yeah,
so Miller 64 still has less calories.
Wait a minute. I think you just said 0 calories.
0 carbs.
How many calories?
80.
Oh, okay. And does the Miller one have 0 carbs too?
I don't know. It's Miller 64. I think it's 64 for the calories.
I think I might start getting that. I've also noticed that the lower calorie beers are fucking more expensive, as it always is with everything in this fucking country, man.
Yeah.
Why we don't uprise and revolt? I'm kidding. That's not a real serious thing. I know we joke a lot, talk a lot about QAnon and shit. Please don't report me, anybody. But seriously, like, why the fuck do we tolerate this as a species? Like, I don't mind putting in a little effort, but like, to pay extra to want to be healthy is just insane to me. Like, why can't it just be the best of both worlds? If people, like, clearly people are going to choose the other one. John doesn't give a fuck about calories and shit, but people like me and you,
it all comes down to mass production. Like, the reason the shit is so cheap is because we started making the shit and we evolved making it for the masses, which makes it a cheaper process. Once the health kit kicks on, then prices should come down as technology in the health food advances. In theory.
Yeah, in theory. I don't think it's going to advance. Secret time. I don't think it's going to get better before it gets way fucking worse.
I concur with that opinion and hypothesis.
So what do we got on the docket?
All right. Well, first off, we are starting. We're going to segment the show from here on out. Current segments we're going to be running are TV, movie, and entertainment news. We'll review. And right now, news from around the world. If you want to suggest a new category that you think we should talk about every week, please comment it below. Or we'll be adding stuff as we feel. So for the first one, we've got TV, movie, and entertainment is going to be our first segment up this week.
I just sent the link. Cool intros, by the way. I know that you're dying for me to bring that up, so you could do that. I do it, but they are cool. You did a good job doing all the video graphic stuff.
Time and money, brother. That's all anything takes. Time and money.
Oh, listen to you, the humble, charitable white Christian of the village. I just said I've lost my train of thought. Now the Miller High Life just kicked in.
We're doing TV, movie, and entertainment.
I sent a link in private chat. This is what I'm going to want to watch, but I want to do this last because I'm going to go off on it for a little while. But just so you know, okay. So as far as like TV and movie stuff, things that are going on this week that I've kind of seen, and you and I both want to talk about. One you can't because you haven't seen it, but you allowed me to buy. We got today on the Amazon Prime. We bought season 1, the only season of a show called The Comedians, which is an FX show from 2015 that was like it's kind of like This Is Spinal Tap in the sense that it's a faux documentary. It's a documentary about the making of a sketch show on FX called The Billy and Josh Show with Billy Crystal and Josh Gad. And it came out. I remember talking to you about how, like, in 2015, that era, FX was putting out shows left and right. They were taking chances on like really funny, edgy stuff that nobody else would give a shit about. And they only lasted like one or two seasons, but it was like really interesting stuff. And this happened to be one of those shows that was so funny. And I used to have a copy of it that I couldn't find anywhere. And then I found it on Amazon Prime for $10 for the 13 episode run. I highly recommend it. It is a very original. I don't think it'd be for everybody. It's certainly fans of comedy. Like, I love Billy Crystal, and the older I get, the more I think like my generation didn't really have a lot of love or respect for Billy Crystal. But trust me when I tell you, like, I think this is some of his finest work, and I think Billy Crystal's awesome. But I wanted to kind of shamelessly promote that because I do recommend people seeking it out. It is available. It's reasonably priced and well worth what you'd pay for it. And I believe in supporting cool shit and shit that makes me. What are you fucking laughing about, man?
I just saw what you sent me and I got it queued up. We're so gonna get copyright struck.
Not if we talk over it.
Okay.
And if we do get copyright struck, just cut that segment out. I know it's a pain in the ass, but I'll just save the original, and then I can clip our part of it out, and then I could put that on social media. You know what I mean? So even though, but anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't want to derail you. You go.
You didn't. I just wanted to shamelessly. I want to start promoting stuff that I really love that I don't think got a fair shake. And this being like a 1-season show, that's all. I just want to promote things that I'm going to do that once a week.
I'm actually doing the same thing tonight. So that's what I think we should use this segment for, is promote stuff that we think is good that doesn't have a lot of
traction. Promote stuff that we think doesn't have a lot of traction, and I also think we should include like reviews and stuff like that, or whatever we're thinking about. I know we're going to talk about Peacemaker tonight. I also want to talk about real quick, because I know you haven't, and we're going to talk about Pam and Tommy, which I know you've also seen. But one thing I know you haven't seen that I will say this, I'm just going to throw my 2 cents out there, not that anybody asked for it. I watched Jackass Forever, and I'll be honest, I didn't have high expectations for it. Jackass is not something that I'm into now the way I was when I was in my 20s or 30s, or even my teens. And honestly, I didn't like it. There was 2 segments throughout the entire hour-and-a-half thing that made me laugh, and that is not enough for me to give a glowing endorsement. And also knowing what I know about the behind-the-scenes shit that went down and everything. That's
the big thing for me.
It really sticks because there's one segment where Bam is in this film, and it's that marching band going on the treadmill sequence, and all you see is him fly over, and then he walks away. But that's it. No words, nothing said about him. It just they're marketing it like we're handing the torch off to this new crew of crazy zany people. And aside from Jasper and Zach, like, I've seen Zach before, I've seen Jasper before, but like, they're not people like, maybe it's because I'm going to be 42 and I'm just at that point where it's like, I don't care about like younger people like hurting themselves anymore. It's just not fascinating because I feel like I've seen everything you can see with that kind of shit. Now, that said, I saw some interesting shit that I hadn't seen with Jackass Forever, but it was only 2 segments that I thought, you know what I mean? Which isn't enough out of an hour-and-a-half. They recreated a lot of bits. Like, they kept going like, we did this bit 20 years ago. We tried to do this bit 20 years ago. And then they'd show the original footage. And I'm like, I don't need to hear. It's like saying, we're going to get Kurt Cobain to come back from life, back to life. We're going to re-record Nevermind and see what it sounds like all these years later. It's not necessary, but whatever. And the only other 2 things I'm terrible at this, man. I
you want to switch on? You want to switch on and off, so it's not because you want to do. You got your other thing you want to do last, right?
Yeah. The only other 2 things I want to talk about is the stuff we already talked about, Pam and Tommy and Peacemaker, which you all.
Oh, so that's what you were going to bring. I was going to say we'll bring those up first, and then I'll do my big one I want to hit on. Peacemaker, new episode.
Fantastic.
Interesting. I'm surprised that they killed off. Like, spoiler alert, by the way. Spoiler alert. I'm surprised they killed off 2 kind of main characters. Or at least 2 main-ish characters.
I'm not. That's how James Gunn rolls, man.
And I would like to also point out how ironic it is what weapon was used to end the White Dragon. It's not lost on me that a Nazi Luger 9mm was used to kill the White Dragon.
That's pretty funny.
But I like the story. I'm intrigued. I keep wanting to come back for more. I'm not to the point where I'm going to say it's fantastic because I want to see how this all plays.
You're out of your fucking mind.
It's entertaining. I like it.
Let's be honest. Okay, then let's be honest. If we're talking about this realistically, because we do know now. Excuse me. I got to learn how to mute my mic better when I cough and grunt. But we do know now that all of DC is canon. It's all part of the multiverse. It's all their multiverse, their Infinite Earth theory. It's been like that since the Flash Arrow crossover, Stephen Amell's last season. So we know that it's all action packed, and I honestly have no idea where I was going with that. I had a pothole. So
it's good. It's entertaining. I highly recommend people watch it, but it could all be spoiled to me on how they end it. Like how I think I see the direction it's going that I would like, but I definitely the rug can be pulled from underneath me.
And that's what I was going to
say. Again, I know I say this a lot, but the chick who plays hardcore is so beautiful. Like when she gave that smile to the camera at the end, when Diebeard was like, anytime's the perfect time to rock, and she looked out the window and she smiled. This is not a sexual thing. Again, I have to repeat, this is not a sexual thing, but that smile and the look she gave was A, acting, and B, struck a primal instinct inside of me where I'm like, man, I want to breed with her. That good Viking children comment from the other week, you know what I mean?
And I felt that breed. And I felt that way about the cow, the reveal of the cow. That's what I want to breed with. You imagine?
Was that a letdown? Or was that
no?
A letdown?
See, this is where you and I differ. That's what I'm saying. Like, of everything we know now that's canon in the infinite DC Earth multiverse, whatever you want to call it, like to me, of everything that we've gotten over the last few years, and I like the Zack Snyder shit. I'm not overly fond of Batman v Superman to great extents. I love how it looks, but this is one of the best things we've ever gotten, as far as I'm concerned. I think James Gunn was a welcome addition. Suicide Squad as a movie, I enjoyed quite a bit. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. But this, I think, was better than the movie that it's an offshoot of. Like, I think it's so fucking good, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. And I didn't think the cow was a letdown at all. I thought it was fucking awesome. I love that he's tackling.
I had zero, just for the audience to know, I had zero plans on ever watching Peacemaker. And Doug was relentless.
It's because it reminds me of you.
I was like, just watch episode 1, Paul. Paul, just watch episode 1. And I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong. I was wrong. Doug was right. This is a show that I should have gave a chance. The first episode sucked me right in. But I'm going into it like I'm walking on ice. Like I'm waiting for the ice to crack underneath my feet and for me to get dragged into the frozen depths. My official review, when I finally watched it, Doug asked me, he's like, "What'd you think of episode 1?" Do you remember my response by any chance?
I don't.
I said it's very, very James Gunny. And that's not a negative. That's not a negative. But this has James, just like the Suicide Squad 2 movie, it's a James Gunn film and a James Gunn production, which is good. I think he's a fantastic writer. But I want to see how it ends. For me, the cow, I'm not going to lie. I'm not saying letdown, disappointment. I won't go that far. But I didn't think the CG was that great. And I think they made the cow too big.
You're out of your fucking mind on both accounts, but that's your opinion. Okay. You're allowed to have your opinion. You're entitled to it. I'm not faulting you. Ooh.
The CG reminded me of something I would have saw on Doom on MS-DOS in 1995.
And I love that shit, man. I truly do.
I'm not saying I didn't love. I loved Doom in 1995 on MS-DOS. However, in 2022, if you're going to use CGI, I want it to not look like CGI. Eagly looks like a real fucking eagle. By the way, I'm man enough to admit this. I shed tears in this episode. I shed fucking tears. I did. I'm watching Peacemaker with my 2 Goldens on my lap, cuddling into my bosom. They were both on top of me, and I'm watching this episode, and I see John Cena, the man's man, sitting there praying to God to save his eagle. And I know that feeling where like you would give your life for an animal.
And when he got up and hugged her, I love it. She was like, he really does hug him. I saw an eagle hug a man today.
I like that was her big turning point. Eagly's dope. And I also want to say
fucking great.
I also want to say Vigilante is cementing himself as
I'm
one
going
of
to
my
say something.
Characters.
That was good. I was going to get to that. I was going to get to that, but before I do, I wanted to say to your point about the cow. This is what I like about James Gunn and his take on what he uses as characters when he's given the free reins to do it. Is he uses characters you would never expect anybody in a million years to use and makes them awesome. He did that with Starro. Starro is one of the coolest villains in the comics, but how the fuck do you translate a giant fucking starfish with an eye to a live action setting? He figured out a way to do it, and he did it fucking awesome. And he did, in my opinion, did the same thing with the cow. I would like to see him do Kite Man. Kite Man is one of the lowest form villain, like lowest tier Batman villains, like to a ridiculous extent. And there's a brilliant fucking comic series, an arc of like 6 issues called the War of Jokes and Riddles, written by Tom King. It's a Batman story within the Rebirth era. And it's a 6-issue arc where the Joker and the Riddler are like fighting to the death, but using jokes versus riddles. And Kite Man, in one issue, this low tier fucking lame ass villain is the centerpiece of an epic drama that plays out so beautifully you'd want to see it as a live action film on the level of like Seven. It's so good. I would like to see James Gunn tackle him. He takes all of these characters that you would never give a goddamn shit about and just makes them so fucking beautiful. Who would have thought Peacemaker would have been a viable fucking character, man? He's awesome. John Cena is perfect as him. It was,
and I will say, the first 2 episodes, my one big critique in a negative light was I was watching John Cena wearing a Peacemaker costume. He's come into the role as the episodes have progressed to where I don't see John Cena anymore. I'm seeing Peacemaker, if that makes any sense.
Well, what I love about this is if you watch the Suicide Squad, which, like I said, Peacemaker is a show that stands alone, but there's so much wonderful context if you watch the Suicide Squad movie first. And I like how you go from this guy who's just this kind of comic book cartoony buffoon in the team, talking about like eating an island full of dicks for peace amongst all humanity. And then by the end of it, he's like the absolute number one villain of that fucking movie when you really look at it.
and then the show turns it around.
And the show completely turns it around. You see how he was raised. You see why he is the way he is, that he never wanted to be that way. He was raised by a fucking madman, like a white supremacist, genocidal madman. And ended up killing his fucking brother. Like it's an crazy, beautiful story that is played through all of these wonderful elements that I love: hyper violence, gore, over the top, cartoonish violence, a crazy fucking metal, like hairband metal soundtrack, that over the top fucking freedom aspect of American pride that is so cartoonish and fun to laugh at.
I will say it's one of the few shows I don't skip the intro because I love the theme song.
One of the greatest goddamn. They made a making of that fucking intro. People loved it so much. It's one of the best intros to a TV show. I agree with you.
I will say this: DC or Time Warner or like the big brother company of the owner of the DC universe will be doing a grave injustice if they don't do a spin-off and turn Vigilante into their Deadpool.
I'm going to say something. Vigilante is maybe one of my favorite characters to come out of the DCU.
And the actor makes it. The actor in the show makes it.
And I'll tell you what, I really would. We've talked about it, and I don't even know what they'd be like nowadays in a post-COVID world, even though people are starting to wake up, it seems, how to go to a comic convention. And I don't even know even then if I could find it there. But the last time I went to a comic convention,
I got to pee. The
last time I went to a comic convention, there were tables amongst tables, as there is every comic convention. You need to get a profile pic in the worst way. Anyway, there was tables amongst tables at every comic convention I've ever been to of VHS bootlegs and shit. I'm sure they're DVDs now. There needs to be a way for me or somebody to get a hold of the raw, uncut pilot version of Peacemaker that had the original guy playing Vigilante, because I want to see the comparison of how he played it to how this guy's playing it, because I can see them being very similar because that guy looks and sounds similar, but he's a completely different actor. And I would love to see how he would have taken Vigilante, but I agree with you. The guy who's playing him now, this guy, I would nominate him for an Emmy. I don't give a shit about fucking award shows or Emmys or anything like that, but as a background, just his performance alone is so fucking good, it demands to be recognized, man. I agree with you 100%. He is a crazy, fucking insane, just a fucking walking, like quite literally, like when you look at him, he is the walking embodiment of evil. He is just a void killer, a killer devoid of any real human emotion except for his attachment to Peacemaker, because he grew up with Peacemaker through his older brother. But aside from that, he's a guy who's like, killing somebody is like flipping a light switch when you walk into your apartment after a long day at work. Like, it is nothing to him. And he does it so nonchalantly and in a way where you find him endearing, almost like Patrick Bateman, like a young fucking Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. It's so fucking, I love him. It's one of my favorite characters on the show, bar none. Sorry, you were gone and you let me go on a tangent. So.
I know. Hey, I'm impressed you didn't hit a bottle. So good to go.
Hey man, I'm getting ready to switch it up now with a 6%er.
Oh, nice.
I'm tired of those 1% losers.
5%. So
5% losers. I'm sorry.
Moving on, we got the new episode of Pam and Tommy, the much-awaited 4th episode. They dropped 3 in a row and then made us wait a fucking week for episode 4. Side note, if you're a streaming service, stick to the original Netflix model where you drop the whole fucking show at one time.
How are we doing in the chat? Not to cut you off, sorry.
No, I haven't missed the chat.
Just checking.
Kim just said hi. Kim, if you're here, participate.
Love you, Kim. Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
We do love you, Kim. Kim, I bragged to Doug today. I'm like, Kim built a Rumble account and followed us on Rumble.
He took a screenshot and group texted it to everybody. He was so happy and proud. And I think that's very awesome. I'm like, Kim is awesome. Kim is awesome as fuck, man.
Yeah. If this show ever grows into be something, like Kim will be fan numero uno.
Fucking A. You know what? I'm going to say it now. We don't have them yet, and I don't know if we will have them, but if we ever do get a t-shirt and stickers and a hat and a beer koozie and a condom keychain and a bottle opener, if people even use bottle openers, you're going to be the first person to get one. And you're going to get them on the house, and I'll put in half and half with you for it. But Kim deserves. Well, you know what we should do? Thanks, Kim. Bob and Doug Savior from Boredom has a Teespring. I don't have the address off the top of my head. I'll get it to you, and you can throw it in the link section. But we have a Teespring.
We have a Teespring.
Okay.
This show has a Teespring. It's not open yet, but I'm going to say right now, Tim, I promise this week I'm going to build up our Teespring store and actually build T-shirts and that you have a free T-shirt from Sibling Revelry coming your way on me and Doug.
What I was going to say, though, is Bob and Doug and I, fucking goddamn it. Bob and Doug Savior, what can I say when you mentioned that? Thank you so much, Kim. Bob and Doug Savior from Boredom, I designed 2 posters just from screenshot images I made that I thought looked pretty cool. And nobody's ever bought them, but like I have it to where you can get 24 by 36 printed off posters of us. I want to get a post. I want a cool ass poster. Or if we ever get fans who are like into glass making or that cool neon light merch, the neon light making, like beer sign lights, I want, like Louis J. Gomez has it for when he does Twitch streaming and Legion of Skanks on Friday nights. He has this pink neon glass light behind him that says "Real Ass Dude." I want one of the Sibling Revelry logo, kind of like Joe Rogan's UFO. I want something like that, but we're never going to be able to afford to get that. So I want a poster of us behind me.
Kim, right. I promise this week I'm going to build the store. I will put products in the store, and my first T-shirt design I make, which is probably going to be the logo, just the logo on a T-shirt. I will buy the first one. I'll email you. I'll get all your contact information, and I will have it shipped to your front door. That is a promise. Doug, hold me to that.
I'm holding you that, and I'm not picking my nose. I want everybody to know that I got like a skin infection on the inside of my nostrils, and they're peeling, and it's irritating, and I got to pick that stuff out. And I have no shame. I don't really care. And I'm representing my man Ice Cube, favorite Black Republican. Did I already make that joke tonight? I'm fucked up, but I do love Ice Cube.
He was in he made it big in NWA, right?
Are you fucking with me right now?
I'm asking. Did he?
Yeah. That's what he's.
What is NWA? What does NWA stand for, Doug? What's that acronym stand for?
Noble Men with Attitudes.
Is that what it is? Okay.
I believe so.
I'm trying to make a clip compilation.
Yeah.
So
I know what you're trying to do.
So 10 years from now, I can nail you to the fucking wall.
Who do you think I am? Anders Holmbeck from Workaholics. I want to run for city council one day. I can't have this on the internet.
You're a sweetheart, Kim. You're a sweetheart.
But I do love Ice Cube. I love Ice Cube at 21 Jump Street when he's like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you, Doug."
I love. To me, in cinema, there was no better scene than the big reveal that Jonah Hill was fucking his daughter.
Like, the greatest ever. Considering the age difference.
When I first watched that, instantly in my head, I was like, if I was Channing Tatum, I would blow this up. And instantly, Channing Tatum's character just started running around.
You just found out about it. You just found out about
it. Oh, man. All right. So, Pam and Tommy. Episode 4. Fantastic. Again, I have no clue if any of this is rooted in the truth, but It's well written. The show is well written. If it is the truth, which I hope it is, it's fascinating how this all went down. The birth of the internet, how that plays into it.
Very well. The soundtrack.
I remember like Adam and Eve publishing the tape. Am I
No,
wrong on that?
You are wrong. I believe it. I want to. I know it wasn't Vivid. I want to say it was. Well, no, I think it might have been Red Light Media. I can't remember exactly. I was working. I got to sneeze.
You're right. It's either Red Light Media or it's Adam and Eve. It's one of the two.
It's not,
but like, I'm curious to see where this goes and how it all plays. No shit, Doug. No shit.
What?
No shit. I just got a match on Tinder.
Go fuck yourself. Anyway,
it only happens on Saturday nights. It's weird. That's weird.
Why are you promoting your podcast on Tinder so everyone's tuning in? Like, this guy's kind of cute. I will go out to his trailer, and he's funny.
No.
And I wouldn't put it back. God, I have put on so much weight. I could see it in my fucking chin. It's gross. Anyway, Pam and Tommy. I remember exactly when the tape came out because you and I were living. We had just moved to Fort Myers, Florida. I think it was a year after we moved there. I was still in we were both in school. But I was working at a place called TV Center on Palm Beach Boulevard, which is still there. If you want to stop in and say hi to Tim, Tim Hamilton, I'm sure he'd tell you that he doesn't know me, and that if he does acknowledge me, he'll say that I'm a fat fucking idiot or something like that. But that was one of my absolute favorite jobs.
When I get the shirt, I will come on the show to show it off.
Now you got to fucking show it. I'm going to hold you to it, Paul.
I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it. I've spent all week fucking working on this show and working on graphics and shit.
I know you did.
The Teespring store, I've been like, I need to do merch. And this is the thing that'll make us money. Like, maybe make us money one day. And I'm just like, forget that. I'll spend hours editing videos and creating graphics and shit.
The graphics look good. They really do. One of the things I love about it, though, is like when I worked at TV Center, that's how I discovered this tape. Was I worked at a place called TV Center on Palm Beach Boulevard. It used to be, excuse me, video store / TV audio store, like TV audio repair store. They installed car stereos, bass, whatever. Don't talk shit, brother. Do not talk shit.
I'm not going to talk shit. I'm not going to talk shit. I'm doing the opposite. So wait till you hear what I have to say.
I'm just preemptively saying.
Has a little brother who at that time thought highly of his big brother. Thought highly of his big brother. I thought that video store was one of the coolest fucking places on earth.
It was my favorite place.
It wasn't anything special. If you went to a Blockbuster compared to where Doug worked, you would be like, wow, what a shithole. To me, it was a great place to go and visit my brother. Like, when I hear Tarantino talk about working in a video store and that's where he found his love of movies, every time he does, my memories go back to visiting you working in that store. The smells, the people, the watching you when you're like one of your first jobs, and like how you interacted with people on a business sense. Like on a professional level. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. On a professional level. It's really good memories for me, and I love that store.
And
your boss was cool as shit to me. He was always really nice to me.
Tim Hamilton still runs TV Center. Now it's exclusively audio.
It's still open?
It's still open. Tim is a fantastic salesman and a businessman. And right now it's the store is no longer a video store. It's all audio, like car stereo, shit like that, like top line shit. And when I worked there, he's a Canadian who I forget Tim's life story, but we start talking about this and thinking about it. He would absolutely I've not talked to Tim. I've talked to Tim briefly when I first moved back up here. He's the one who got me the written and directed by Quentin Tarantino T-shirt that I have. Tim bought that as a congratulations on getting sober and getting out of Florida present. And I lost touch with him. He was very cool, and I lost touch with him since I got off Facebook, and I'm sure I could get in touch with them again by just simply calling TV Center and catching up with them. I bet you if I explained it to him and gave him this first episode, he would come on and tell stories, because my brain is Tim Hamilton's one of the smartest, funniest men I've ever met in my entire life. That's not me being hyperbolic. That's me being very straight and very straightforward and honest about it. He's one of the coolest people I've ever met. Hands down, he's a guy who could make fun of you to your face and shit on you for 15, 20 minutes straight. And you're going to hardcore belly laugh at every fucking thing he says. Cause he's got, I've said it. He's got that Canadians have that fucking amazing comic wit, and he's Canadian, and he's got wonderful stories of growing up in Canada and playing hockey and shit, and he's got wonderful stories in general. Makes his own beer, makes his own everything. He's just a great guy all around. I'm gonna try and reach out to him now that I'm thinking. The more I'm talking him up, the more I want to fucking reconnect with him. I'm gonna see if he'll come on as a guest because he would be an amazing guest to have on this show. He's a guy who likes to sit down and have a good cocktail or a good beer and just shoot the shit and make people laugh and have a cigar. He is so fucking great. And growing up when I worked at TV Center, he looked like Tom Green, which was one of the biggest appeals of working for him. He looked like a little bit older Tom Green. But he'll also tell, if he ever comes on, he'll tell the story of how I got hired at TV Center, how I was in high school and I came to him. I was working at Sonny's Barbecue and I had heard that there was an opening because I was a customer at TV Center. I was always there renting videos, taking advantage of their Friday deals and getting VHS horror tapes and putting in special requests and shit. And then one day the manager of the store asked me if I wanted a job, put me in contact with Tim, and I interviewed Tim. And Tim likes to tell a story where I was this nervous high school kid who came in and was like, Mr. Hamilton, it would be my dream. It's been my dream to work in a video store, and I would really like to work in a video store. Like, he makes fun of me so horrendously in the story, and it makes me laugh every time, but he's very accurate. Like, it was my dream fucking job because I was a child of the 90s who loved Tarantino, who loved Robert Rodriguez and Kevin Smith and Richard Linklater and all of the indie cinema that I was just falling in love with. And I wanted access to that video store. And I finally got hired there. And the job was, there's two parts of the store. There's the video store, and then there's the TV audio store that also does cell phone shit. I think he still does cell phone stuff. Like, he was doing Boost Mobile. He was doing Verizon at one point. But I had to like clean the store. I had to clean the bathroom. I had to sweep and mop. I basically eventually had free run of whatever I wanted to do. I was allowed to design the store and set up signs. Like, I was like considered myself artistic then. So I was allowed to like draw cool signs to put on top of the shelves to like differentiate between horror, drama, comedy. And I was allowed to organize it. And the reality was I was a lazy, fat fucking high school kid who didn't want to work. He just wanted to get paid to hang out in a fucking video store and watch free movies. That's the reality. And Tim will not have any problem saying absolutely to that because he likes to tell stories about that as well, about finding cabinets filled with candy wrappers because I would just steal candy from the candy shelf and like leave the empty wrappers behind like a breadcrumb trail to myself. But I didn't do anything. Like, I was a lazy employee, and I can say that honestly. I'm not proudly, but at the same time, I got to spend some of my formative years in one of the greatest environments around one of the funniest people I've ever been fortunate enough to have met in my life. And I grew up around a great family, and I also got to babysit with him. I've got great stories. I used to babysit his three kids when they were younger, when him and his wife would go to hockey tournaments or Broadway shows or various events. I would get called to babysit for him. There was one night where a dude was drunk driving home. They lived over by the golf course off of North Cleveland Avenue. I can't think of the name of the golf course now or the name of the road. They lived over by Mike Muster's parents' old place. And they had all these turnarounds, and this guy was leaving a bar on his motorcycle, drunk as shit. And somebody came pounding on the door where the kids were asleep one night. And the dude got so fucked up that he hit a ditch, went flying off his bike, and his entire right arm and left leg were dislocated and folded behind his body. The lady was passing by and didn't want to like help, but she wanted to tell somebody. So I ended up calling 911, locking the kids in the house, and going to sit with the guy. And the guy he had blood coming out. I remember this vividly. He had blood coming out of the corner of his mouth. And he's like, "Don't call the cops. I'm going to get in trouble." I'm like, dude, if I don't call somebody, you're going to fucking die. Your arm and leg are folded behind you. It was crazy, dude. But yeah, that's a long way of saying like, I first saw the Pam and Tommy tape when working at this video store, TV Center. My manager was a guy named Jim Lushard. I believe Jim still works there. I think he still works there. Like I said, it's been 3 years at least since I've talked to Tim. But Jim it was one of two things, and I don't say this maliciously or shitting on him or making fun of him because I genuinely love the guy. The guy was there for me a lot in my life, and he was a very solid part of my formative high school teen years and my early to mid 20s. He was into sci-fi and horror just the same as I was, but he was also into porn and he was also into sci-fi. And so he had all of like the bootleg shit that you couldn't find because he had connections. He was the manager on the video side, and he also did like audio repair work and TV repair work and VCR repair work. Like he had a little workbench that he'd solder and shit at, but he had all the VHS tapes were in numerical order, like a Dewey Decimal System. I'm not kidding you, Paul. We had hundreds of tapes. He had every number memorized. So if you came in and said, I want to see the Hunt for Red October, 089569.3, it's over in the left section up on the right. He'd been there that long to where his fucking brain had memorized all that shit. It was fascinating to work around.
Hey,
but
real quick.
Yeah.
The picture, you told me I needed to get a picture for when I turn my camera off.
Yeah.
Where do you put that picture? Is that your Google?
No, it's in your StreamYard profile user settings.
I don't even know where the fuck
I'll
that is.
exit full screen and I'll go into Cam and Mike. It's not that. Hold on a second. Great. Wait. Good time to do this on the show, dildo.
Well, you told me I should add a picture, so I was going to put a picture.
Yeah, you don't have to do it now, though. I'm in the middle of a fucking story. But we'll talk about it off mic. It's something you got to do.
Right.
It's before you come in. It's before you come into the studio. That's when I do it. When I'm getting ready to enter the studio, that's when I do it.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, Jim always he had all these connections because he ran the video side. Knew all of the people that he bought tapes from, all the vendors and shit. He knew people who had like access to bootleg shit or shit that was available early, and he got the Pam and Tommy video before anybody else did, and he made me a copy. He had a series of like VCRs in the back that he was always like copying tapes and shit on. It was awesome. It was such a great place to work at as a kid. And I got the tape from him. That was where I first saw the Pam and Tommy tape, and I do remember it being a thing in the infancy of the internet. We were still operating off of like a DOS screen where it was only green, yellow, and red for the colors. Everything else was a black background. And it was dial-up internet, and I do believe it was a website you had to order it off of. I'm almost positive that's what it was in the beginning. I think that's.
Oh, I'm sure it is, and I'm pretty sure where we're gonna watch the story go to is
where
I think
sold legitimately.
Yeah, it got sold legitimately, and that's what I'm trying to remember is who legitimately sold it. Because the copy of the VHS we had in our household, in our dad's sock drawer, was definitely the pro copy.
Stop. Tell the right story. It's not in his sock drawer. Wasn't in his sock drawer.
That's why I always grabbed it.
It was my.
I knew it was your tape. I knew it was your tape. I thought he took it away from you.
I got that tape from this is the story to my recollection. And like I said, my recollection is suspect in most instances. Why I would love to have Tim come on. I think not just that. Tim is just going to be funny. He'll make you laugh. I can't wait to laugh with him if he comes on. I'm going to get a
first Bud Light next.
Let me know how it tastes. Anyway, I got the tape from Jim Luchard and Crisp. Okay.
I'm already 2 beers deep in, and one was a Molson, which is very overpowering. So like my taste buds are kind of gone. It kind of tastes like sparkling water right now, but I think it's because I'm a little drunk.
High Life,
a little tipsy.
I'm not gonna lie. High Life has like a flat, skunky taste to it that I remember.
I love it. I love
it. And
High Life.
As soon as I got platinum into my system, I'm like, oh man, I remember why I like this. The alcohol content is way cooler.
I'll be right back.
Anyway, God damn it! What was I saying before you?
You said he had every single video ID.
Oh, okay. So basically, no. Basically, how this? No, we were talking about Dad. Basically, what happened was I got the Pam and Tommy tape from Jim. That's where I got a copy of it from, and I had it for a long time, and I kept it in a sock drawer. And this was like I was already 18 at this point when I was working there. I think I was 19, matter of fact, when I got it from him. And I kept my porn tapes in the bottom right hand of my sock drawer. I still lived at home with our folks, but I didn't give a fuck because it was one of those things where I didn't care about hiding things anymore because I was of age. And it's like, why should I give a shit about this? I know what this is. I like what this is. I'm not going to worry about it. And at the time, for whatever reason, my folks, maybe it was because I was graduating, but my folks were getting cooler with me. They weren't being as like hard-nosed or hard-lined, and I get why they were. We grew up in the era of Lords of Chaos, Lords of Chaos, and oh god damn it, the Trenchcoat Mafia and all that shit. So I get why they were a little on edge. But towards the end of my high school year, when all this was happening, they were getting very cool. Now our folks were still going to church. Now this happened at a time where when we moved to Florida, Paul and I used to go to church as kids on our own to a Presbyterian church, and when we moved to Florida, for whatever reason, I never really believed in God. I never felt the presence. I only went because I liked youth group. I liked the connection I had with friends and shit. I liked the community of it all. But when we got to Florida, I just didn't feel it anymore. And it was because it was something different. Southern Baptism is a completely different religion religious experience for somebody who grows up in the North. It really is. It's a night and day difference. And it almost felt more guilty, like it made to feel like you should feel guilty for what you like, especially if it's considered sinful. And when we moved to Florida, I can't speak for Paul, but I got out of it pretty quickly on, and I was listening.
I got heavy into it.
And yeah, you got heavy into it. I remember, but Dad got heavy into it, and you got heavy into it because of Dad, because Dad got all of us heavy into it. I remember Dad saying, my family's going to be saved. God damn it. I remember him saying something to that effect. It'll stick in my brain for the rest of my life. And I remember just like kind of being forced to go. And I would sit in Sunday sermon. We had to go on Wednesdays and Sundays. You chose to go. I chose to get baptized after you, I think, because I just wanted him. At one point, I realized it might be easier if I just went along with what he wanted. It might just be easier for my living experience. So I just said, okay, fuck it. Let me get saved. And I started talking to our youth pastor at the time. I want to say his name was Mark Burkett. I can't think of his last name.
Burkhart, I think.
Burkhead. I don't remember. But I started talking to him because he was a cool youth pastor. He made himself available to everybody, especially guys, young youth kids like us who were going through shit or who were new to the area. He wasn't a creep like that. He genuinely gave a shit. And he had a crew. I remember having a crew cut. He looked like, you remember in Beavis and Butthead, the Army drill sergeant, the gym teacher with the crew cut. He always reminded me of him. He had that flat top crew cut with the triangle in the middle, Widow's Peak. But fuck me, I forgot. Oh, so I was talking to him about it, and I asked him if I could get saved, if he'd be there with me or sponsor me or whatever, and I got saved for Dad. I remember when I got saved, I remember you saying something to the effect or that blew Mom and Dad's mind away, got Dad real emotional. You said something to the effect of like, when I saw it, tell him what you said, Paul. I remember Dad saying this to me as I came down all dripping wet. He said, tell him what you said, Paul. Tell him what you
felt
said,
it.
Paul.
What you're about to say, I felt it.
Saw an angel or something like that.
I thought I saw Christ.
Oh, I don't remember the whole story. I just remember that part of it. But I remember that bits and pieces of it. But I also remember, like I said, I remember Wednesday nights at the old church, which is no longer there, if I'm not mistaken. It's now a basketball court. And I remember the new church they built down, which is still over by Old Maine's Best. But I remember going there on Sundays, and I would sit in the pews completely ready to just get the fuck out of there, because getting out of there meant A, I didn't have to sit in boredom for 2 hours, and B, I got to go. Generally, we went out to eat afterwards, usually to Sonny's or Maine's Best or Alva Diner, depending on whichever member of the flock Dad was hanging out with or wanted to go hang out with. Usually it was Jim, it was the Cripes, if I'm not mistaken, or Helen and Terry, who were wonderful people. I'm not going to disparage anybody who follows Christianity, Catholicism, whatever religion you subscribe to, Buddhists, Unitarian, I don't care.
We could do a whole episode on my travel religion.
I don't disparage anybody. It's just not for me. But I will say, like, there are truly some of the most wonderful people I've met. I'm just saying my experience, the way it was given to me. Like, to me, religion should be something that you come to on your own. It's not something that should be forced upon you or shoved down your throat. And that's how I experienced it for the first time. It was shoved down my throat, and not in a pleasant way. And one of these ways was the Pam and Tommy tape came out. I was of age. I was still living at my folks' home, but I was paying rent, if I'm not mistaken. Because I didn't want to go to college anymore. And Dad said, if you're not going to go to college, you're going to live here, you're going to pay your rent. So I said, fuck it, I'll pay your rent. And I started working.
It was a cheap rent, too.
It was cheap rent. But I was working at the video store, and I was working at the movie theater part-time, and I was working for the schools as a custodian. I just started there. I think I was like 20 or 21. And I was basically just trying to figure things out, have fun, figure out who I was, try and figure out life. And the Pam and Tommy tape came out. I had it, and Dad came to me one day, and he said, let me ask you a question. He said, you were at the video store? I said, yeah. He says, you know, Jim gets all those crazy adult films. I said, he does. He had a copy of the Sylvester Stallone port tape, the Italian Stallion. He had a copy of that.
Italian Stallion.
He loved
the name of the porn.
He loved to float that around. He also had he had like the entire series of Sex Trek. Like he had 1 through 7 or 1 through 8, like fully produced Star Trek porns. They were hilarious. But anyway, Dad asked me about it. I said, yeah, absolutely. He says, you think I get a copy of that? He says, I'm curious. And I said, yeah, no problem. And I went to my drawer and pulled it out. And he says, you don't got to go to work for it? I said, no, I got a copy of it. You can borrow mine. And that's the last I ever saw of that tape. No, it's not true. I take it back. I apologize. It's not the last I ever saw of it. I gave him that tape. He was fascinated because it was like, I remember Harry Potter coming out. It was that fascinating to Dad, like how it was dominating the box office. Like Dad was fascinated by things that took the country by storm. And the Pam and Tommy tape was the first private sex tape that was ever exposed to the mainstream public, and it caught everybody by storm. It was the equivalent of, it was bigger than, but to attribute it to a celebrity posing in Playboy for the first time, it was that big, but twice that. 20 times that.
Just to kind of, I don't mean to derail you, but just to kind of, when I was watching this episode, I was thinking about stuff like that. Like, if you're a kid that was born post 9/11, like, you know, post 2001, how do you understand the significance of the Pam and Tommy tape? Because you really wouldn't understand it unless you were alive when it happened.
Can I tell you?
because this is at a point where the internet is in its absolute infancy. Like, maybe worldwide there was 500,000 people on the internet.
Yeah.
Maybe, and that's being generous. This was like, they did this through mail-in. You send a check, you get it in the mail. And you sent a check for $60 to somebody random, and you hope to God that 3 weeks later you would get a tape of Pam and Tommy fucking.
There were tons of websites. Like this is the same era I came up and we're talking about when we moved to Florida, where our dad got us the first IBM with dial-up internet, where I got into prank phone calls like the Jerky Boys, the Ball Busters, the Musashi tapes, Tube Bar. Which, side note, this is a story for another time. I was the executive producer on the second Tube Bar cassette release ever by the Bumbar Bastards. That's a story for another time. I've got stories of my life on the deep infancy of the internet, being a producer on and producing websites and prank call tapes. Regardless, you were talking about you'd send a check out and hope to God you'd get something back in a couple of weeks. Like, I've gotten duped out of so many $5 checks in those days for prank call cassette tapes off websites just like that. And he's right. It was like that. There wasn't a lot of websites devoted to anything the way they are now. The internet in the beginning wasn't designed to be your life. Right now, it is being geared to be as intertwinable as having an Oculus Rift and getting home from work and putting your Oculus Rift on and just living your life virtually. It is gearing to that world. The Matrix is becoming a reality. And in those days, it wasn't. The internet was geared toward, you could go online and find out a wealth of information on various subjects, and you could also meet other people who had shit and knowledge to share. It's where Timothy McVeigh thrived. Now, it's not just where he thrived. It's where a lot of people thrived like that, but it's where minds went to. People who understood it took advantage of it. People like me who just wanted to look at websites devoted to Guar or Phantasm or Cindy Crawford's Playboy spread. Like, that's all I used. And this is before this is before Google and YouTube. It was Yahoo, Lycos,
Netscape Navigator.
Netscape Navigator, motherfucker. Like, it was the old school, and there wasn't a lot of search engines, and there wasn't a lot of shit to search. And somehow somebody named Rand figured out how to harness the power of the internet with some other people and mass produce that tape to become what it is. But it's weird when you say kids today wouldn't understand it. It's true, because I know people whose kids nowadays, like teenagers, who are, I've heard, this isn't something I'm making up. I've heard people say this. I've heard parents say, like, oh my God, so-and-so, I got to deal with this. So-and-so leaked my daughter's nudes on Snapchat. That's what kids today deal with. Giving this to kids in middle school, maybe not the smartest thing. Well, I put parental locks on it. You got to be the dumbest adult I've ever met. I am willing to admit when I can tell you youth are smarter than me, because I don't understand how to operate half the shit they come out with. And I guarantee there's workarounds that they've created, kind of like we used to create when we were kids building snow tunnels.
Yeah. If I ever have kids, they're fucked, because their dad's pretty technologically intelligent. Right now, if the technology advances, I'm probably not going to care, because I don't do it for a living anymore.
I shouldn't have an opinion on this because I don't have kids and it's not my dog in the fight. But as somebody who sees the trend of human, not just humanity, but personalities and the way we think as a species, it really does seem to be this in the hands of kids doing this. because they're not using it for anything practical or good. If you could tell me that, if you could tell me that your kid, if you could tell me you gave all your kids a smartphone, and the power of the internet, the power of all the knowledge where you don't really need school other than structure and social well-being. If you told me you gave this to a group of 15 kids and they figured out how to invent time, how to split time and space and create time travel, I'd say fucking give every kid a fucking phone. But the reality is we're at a point right now where kids are filming themselves sucking each other's dicks and sending it to each other on fucking social media apps. They're not using it for practical purposes.
And for kids, I agree with you. And this is going to sound so hypocritical before I even say it, but in the past 2 weeks, and we're going to get to this later on in the show, this right here has started a revolution across the world, beginning in Canada.
I'm not
right now. There is 24-hour live streams that you can go to on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey and watch exactly what's going on in the world.
You haven't played that video segment yet. We're not done with movies and news. Don't go into it.
Yeah, no, I know.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, though.
Let's get back to the episode. If this is, I'm not familiar with the background story of the Pam and Tommy, like the behind the scenes and how the tape got stolen and that. But if this is accurate to life, it truly is fascinating. I got a feeling that there's a lot of truth in it, but it's very dramatized for public consumption.
Of course it is. It's got to be
which is fine. Yeah, which is fine because it's a fascinating and entertaining story to watch play out on the screen.
I'll say that
the casting again, I know I say this every time we talk about it. Sebastian Stan is a national fucking treasure. He should get any acting job he ever auditions for. And I can't think of the name who played the chick Lily something. I don't know her for her last name.
Yeah, you want to fuck her, I would know.
Damn it, she is gorgeous. No, I don't want to fuck. You keep thinking like sex to me is like this like college frat boy thing. Like I'm saying, she's an attractive woman. I think she's hotter than Pamela Anderson. But to that said, I think she plays Pamela Anderson in the '90s to a fucking T.
My Tinder just went off. That's weird.
Did it really?
No.
That's awesome, man.
No.
Hey, as your brother, I hope you get your dick wet soon. I hope that happens for you.
I will say this. I haven't even bothered looking at it. But I pulled up earlier in the week when this episode aired, I pulled up where Pam's at, how old she is, where Tommy's at. I'll say this, like Motley Crue's never been a favorite band of mine. There's 2 or 3 albums that I genuinely do like by Motley Crue. I'm more fascinated by the men behind Motley Crue as people than the music. Tommy Lee is all I can say this honestly. Tommy Lee is a fascinating human being in the sense of the life he's lived, his background, his who he is as a person, where he comes from, his abilities, his accolades. I can't take that away from him. And he's always been fascinating to watch. It's been fascinating to watch his progression, being like a speed freak drug addict to like this dude now who's like going on podcasts like Your Mom's House and just telling entertaining stories. But everything I've seen of him up to this point, he has been such a fucking dickhead and come off like a dickhead. And this show is no fucking different. Now, at the same time, I still sympathize. I can sympathize with anybody and empathize when your trust is broken, and that's where my heart really feels for Pamela Anderson, because I never and granted, this is a TV show, it's dramatized, so I can't tell what's real, what's not. But at the same time, as a man, I never put my thought process into what it must be like for a woman going through that. I'm not talking about just having like the tape of you fucking and sucking a dick put out to the public and being profited off of. But I'm talking about being a woman who's so sexualized by the entire world. Being on Baywatch. I mean, you saw the scenes like being in Baywatch, like having her monologues cut, but like, let's have a close up of her ass as she's running into the water. Like, I don't know what it would be like to be that person where it's just, I'm used as a piece of meat. I could sit and joke and say like, I'd love to be used as a piece of meat. But the reality is I don't know what it's like to grow up where that's your life. You know what I mean? I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what it's like to have a kid. I don't know what it's like to carry a kid or experience that. So I don't know to have that perspective, but my heart empathized with her when I realized when she realized that how widespread the tape had gotten, that look in her face and how Tommy like just kind of nonchalantly is like, yeah, it's not anything anybody's ever seen. The look in her face of just absolute heartbreak of not having anybody understand what it feels like, where he's just like, yeah, who cares? I got a big dick and I'm a rock star. Like that SoCal mentality, growing up in the valley, not giving a fuck, doing drugs when you're in middle school. Like I don't get it, dude. It's weird because those are the people who make the most fucking money, and it baffles me, man. It baffles me.
Yeah.
But I did. My heart broke for her. And that's to convey how good of an act, like you said, how good of a fucking actor she is. Like, she's wonderful. And she seems so much like Pamela.
All the shows we talk about, I want to say this. And anytime I recommend a show or I rave about a show or a movie, it's a famous professional wrestler, I know, Shock and Awe, who said something that always resonated with me. And it said, if you ever wonder why pro wrestling has been popular for as long as it is because to tell a good story, you need to have good versus evil. But if you want to tell a great story, throughout that tale, you're going to have characters who struggle with the fight of good and evil. And it's true. And like when I first started, it didn't mean anything. But as I evolve as a human, it makes more sense to me. I enjoy watching a story where there is definitely a good and evil aspect. But this show has me looking at characters like Seth Rogen's character Rand. Like,
okay, go ahead.
You can go both ways with him. You know what I mean? Like, he is the villain in the story who did wrong, but you empathize with him because you understand through the telling of the story why he did what he did. And just like Tommy Lee's kind of the good guy. Tommy and Pam are kind of the good people in this story, but you struggle liking Tommy Lee because Tommy Lee's such a fucking dick because Sebastian Stan portrays him as such a dick so fucking well. You know what I mean?
I agree. I totally agree. You know how I feel about Seth Rogen. There's a text that's about to come through. It's a group text. I just telling the guys that I hope they come on. This is a lot of fun. I love talking about this shit. Seth Rogen.
We're not even halfway through the show and we're already in.
I know, and I still got to get up and put some Vaseline in my nose because my nose is starting to drive me nuts. And I am so lit right now that I can't taste anything. Every sip of beer, like my nose.
I told you that's why I said my taste is gone.
My nose is all stuffy. My head's all stuffy, but I don't give a shit. I feel good. Anyway, you know how I feel about Seth Rogen. Like, I don't like Seth Rogen as a person these days. I really don't. I don't like because he fucking pollutes the world with his negative political bullshit. Now, the same could be said about us, but I don't give a shit. I don't like the way he's been carrying himself against people, but
he has talent as an actor, though.
He has talent as an actor. Look, the fact that he's denounced James Franco, This Is the End is one of the greatest movies that will ever go down as a comedy in this world to me. It is such a fucking great movie that I could put out at any time. The Pineapple Express, another great fucking movie. Freaks and Geeks. I will never discredit James Franco. That said, how I feel about, I don't know why I got onto James Franco. We're talking about Seth Rogen. I don't like Seth Rogen as a person these days. That said, he's a fantastic actor. He's a fantastic comedic actor. And in this show, he plays this guy where what he does is, like you said, it's reprehensible, but you totally fucking get it. Like when you see the life he's living, how he's treated. Like I said, Tommy Lee's a fucking dick. And the fact that he pulled a fucking shotgun, Tommy Lee, what Seth Rogen's character who he owes anything to is Pamela Anderson. That's the only person he owes an apology or any financial restitution. If Tommy Lee put a gun in that dude's face, Tommy Lee deserves everything that fucking came from that dude. But like I said, we're talking about it 20, 30 years after the fact, so nothing really came of it because Tommy Lee is just as beloved as he's always been.
But here's where I was talking about that blurring in the lines thing. If you watch the episode where he gets the gun, it's the first episode where he gets the gun put in his face. When Pam gets scared by Seth Rogen in the kitchen, Seth Rogen walks off and Pam runs to Tommy. They don't show the interaction between Pam and Tommy. And here's where you kind of have to empathize a little bit with Tommy too. If your wife came to you and said, one of the construction guys just fucking ogled me and tried to molest me, even though that's not true, based on what we saw. But what I'm saying is you would still want to fucking,
Yeah, that scene, sure, but we're not talking about that scene. We're talking about the scene
later when he comes back for his tools.
When he goes back for his tools,
yeah.
All bets are fucking off, man. I'll give you the first one. The second one, no. Fool me once, shame on you? Fool me twice, shame on me?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, in Tommy's, and I'm not defending Tommy Lee in this scenario, but in Tommy's mind,
I feel like you're picking a fight about Tommy Lee, bro.
this guy who just snuck into your house without permission tried to ogle your wife based on what you know. Hey, but still, Tommy was a douche.
But you know, goddamn why that's not where Tommy Lee's head was. I guarantee you, because Tommy Lee is just that fucking SoCal douchebag. Anyway,
agreed. I'm not. Like I said, I'm not trying to defend Tommy Lee here.
You know what I'm thinking of right now is you remember that
this is when I watch a show. This is how my fucking mind works.
You remember that Tom Segura bit? Well, I'm thinking of now. Remember that Tom Segura bit where he talked about how for years he had told people that Tommy Lee Jones was gay because his dad told him that years ago, and he's been perpetuating that rumor. And he found out that it was not true, and he called his dad, and he's like, "Dad, I just got confirmation that Tommy Lee Jones isn't gay." Oh man, I thought he was. Whatever, and hangs up the phone. I don't know why that triggered my memory when you said Tommy Lee. It just pulled that up. Rest in peace, Top Dog. Tom Segura's dad passed away recently. Rest in peace, Top Dog.
Amen. Cheers.
But
all right, let's move on. Let's move on.
I'll tell you what. You carry the show for a little bit. I gotta go get a few more beers. I gotta put some Vaseline in my nostrils because I don't want to keep picking my nose. Carry the show. We'll talk about what you want to talk about and what the next final bit of the movie news is. I'll be right back.
Okay. So Pam and Tommy, if you guys haven't watched it, check it out. 4 episodes have been released on Hulu. It's entertaining. You get to see Sebastian Stan wearing a fake cock. You get to see Lily, whatever her name is, naked. Those are high points. The story is fascinating. Nick Offerman is Nick Offerman, and he's fantastic in any role he plays. Seth Rogen does a great job playing Rand. It'll make you think. Interesting story. That's all I got to say about that. Peacemaker, moving on. The reason I'm kind of stalling right now is because I'm waiting for Doug to come back because I want to talk about my next subject before we get into his, where we're going to definitely get demonetized and copyright struck. So, just check out Pam and Tommy. It's good. I'm waiting for you, if you can hear me. I'm good. I can sit here and talk to empty space. No problem. Notice how when I go to pee, notice how when I get up to go to pee, I always do it right when Doug begins.
First of all, I'm not going pee. I was going to get my nose lubed up with my best.
I didn't say you were going to pee.
My nostrils, and I went to grab 2 more beers because, as you know, my bathroom is right here.
I didn't say you were going to pee. I said, notice how when I get up to go pee, I always make sure I do it right when I know Doug's about to go on a diatribe, so he can talk because he already has the thought. So I'm saying, little common courtesy. All right, let me get into my let me get it because I want you to be here because we didn't talk about this. I gave you the broad strokes, but the Ben Shapiro movie universe or the BSMU. The BSMU. I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah, because I would like to see the trailers of what you're talking about. Because if they look as good as you're describing them to me before we went on the show, I would personally like to see what they look like. Because I'm only gonna do Terror on the Prairie.
Okay. I'm only gonna do the Terror on the Prairie.
By the way, speaking of favorite Black Republicans, Ice Cube, and not really speaking of him, but like getting on the subject of like movies of like black horror films specifically, Jordan Peele released the teaser trailer for his new movie Nope, which I guess they're gonna release the full trailer during the Super Bowl. I like Get Out. I don't know about you. I didn't care for Us. I'm curious to see what this is about. So far, it's the trailer's guarded, but some people think it's a sequel to Get Out. I don't know what you thought about Get Out as a movie. I actually enjoyed it. I really did.
I'm not going to lie to you, man. I saw it one time because that came out. When did that come out?
I want to say 5-6 years ago, maybe. I was still living in Florida when it came out.
I know 2017. I was dating.
Right when I was leaving Florida.
I was in South Carolina. And I was dating a girl at the time, February 26, 2017. Yeah, I was dating a girl at the time, and we watched it at her place, and needless to say, the movie wasn't the priority, and that's the only time I ever watched it.
I really enjoy it, and I'm not saying it's one of those movies where, like, in spite of how it became a movie that was the template for movies like it, where it was a heavy I'm not going to say anti-white because it wasn't, but it was like, you know, white people want what black people. That's really what it felt like. But it was well made. It was a fucking great story, great, well produced. The cinematography was fantastic. Soundtrack was fantastic. The acting was amazing. The entire cast is phenomenal. That said, I didn't care for his next movie, Us, but Jordan Peele I find to be a very hilarious writer, a very good at horror writing. Like I loved his Twilight. It was CBS Plus. I don't know what it is now because I don't think CBS Access exists anymore.
It's Paramount Plus. Mom and Dad got it. Mom and Dad pay for it.
Are you fucking kidding me? offline. Text me the password and username.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it's the same thing as it was for CBS Premium or whatever it was they have.
Dude,
Which, if that's the case, it's Paramount Plus. Mom and Dad have it. The only reason I know this is because I was over there. So for those who don't know, all my parents like entertainment needs.
You just made my fucking night, bro.
TV, cell phone, cable. I cover all of my parents' costs on everything, and they have CBS, but CBS just changed affiliates where we are, and where me and Doug live is the fucking boonies. And the affiliate they just changed it to, their technology isn't as good as the old CBS affiliate, so it's very scrambly and very, very bad, even on like cable services. So it's not clear, it's not HD. So Mom and Dad got it because Young and the Restless. They never missed it. Our parents are so glued to Young and the Restless, they will not go without it. So my dad actually bought a subscription.
There's it's like Peacock. Like, I don't really want Peacock, but I would like to have access to The Office and a handful of other things, but it's not worth paying for. Same with Peacock. Paramount Plus has so many things that I want to watch, but now that I know Mom, I'm going to tell Mom, I'm like, for my birthday, she asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and you were there when all I said was ring salad, right? That got a big laugh out of Dad.
Yeah.
I'm going to call her up and say, here's what I want for my birthday. I want ring salad, pickle and bologna on white with the crust cut off, and nothing else for anybody. Just if people want to eat, they got to eat pickle and bologna and ring salad, and I want Paramount Plus access. That's what I want for my birthday.
And I'll be sitting in a corner eating chicken and vegetables.
Go ahead, eat them. I don't give a shit. I want pickle and bologna.
Anyway, fuck. Where was I going with
Paramount Plus?
Yeah, so they got Paramount Plus. That's the only thing Dad pays. Oh, and what I was gonna say was, here's what pisses me off. I have no problem with any pay for streaming service with original content. So Peacock, I appreciate because NBC has an NBC app that is free to you if you have a TV subscription like DirecTV, which is what I have, and it's free to you. But then they made a separate app that's Peacock, which is all of NBC shows plus original content like Yellowstone. The WWE network is now folded into Peacock. I respect that, and I'm fine with that. CBS pissed me off when they had CBS Premium because it was all the regular CBS shows behind a paywall, and your TV subscription did not give you access. Now that it's Paramount Plus and there's extra shit on Paramount Plus, I'm okay with it. But CBS was a dick for that for a long time.
I thought Yellowstone was a Paramount Plus show, if I'm not mistaken, not a Peacock show.
Yellowstone's Peacock.
Google that shit, Jamie. Just humor me. I don't want to feel stupid. Please.
Yellowstone.
I would like to watch The Office. I have them all on on DVD, VHS. I have them all on DVD. I just don't want to put the DVD discs in one by one. Plus, I have the ones that weren't banned. I have all the episodes of shows that weren't banned.
Well, son of a bitch. Here, you ready for this?
I'm right.
Yellowstone is an NBC-produced show that started on Peacock, but evidently NBC owns a portion of Paramount, so now it is on both Paramount and Peacock.
Interesting.
Everybody owns everybody. Hollywood is such a fucking cesspool.
That's why I love
it. God damn it, the globalists are taking over the world. Buy our Sibling Revelry nutraceuticals.
Oh man, if only we had a life kit, an end of the world bunker kit. Right.
So back onto my topic here. Ben Shapiro, the Ben Shapiro movie universe.
Yes.
It's not the Ben Shapiro movie, it's the Daily Wire universe. For those who aren't familiar, Daily Wire is a conservative publication owned by Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring. I'm a big fan of both. I don't follow either of them like on YouTube or social media. I don't subscribe to Daily Wire, but I respect them. Like, I don't know what it is that won't make me cross the line to hit subscribe on their channels, but I like them. I respect who they are because they're the ones who filed the lawsuit on the 100 plus that went to the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. That lost. They were part of that whole. Are you taking a picture of the stream?
No, I'm doing a live video for Instagram while we're in the middle of it to promote the live stream.
Weirdo. Anyway, so Daily Wire about 2 years ago said they were tired of Hollywood making movies that nobody wants to watch. They're woke garbage, yada yada. Same on conservative talking points.
Sure.
So Daily Wire said we're going to start funding and paying for our own movies. And at the time, I'm a conservative. Everybody knows I'm conservative, but I'm not like super right wing. I'm not left wing at all. I'm definitely on the right side of the aisle. However, I think I take everything with a rational mindset. And I remember thinking to myself, this is stupid. I don't want to watch a super conservative movie. If I wanted that, I'd watch Kirk Cameron's religious movies from the early 2000s. Because that's what I expected.
Those early movies from the 2000s.
To me, it's that in your face. It's that.
Are we talking about Left Behind? Are we talking about the Left Behind movies?
I'm talking about any religious Kirk Cameron movie he ever made. And that's no disrespect to Kirk Cameron. He's making what he loves, but it's not for me. Even though even though I consider myself a religious person and I consider myself a conservative person. Anyway, besides the point. So they announced their first movie was going to be Run, Hide, Fight last year. I can't remember when exactly last year. And I remember it came out and all my friends were telling me to watch it. They were giving it glowing reviews. It got good reviews from like Rotten Tomatoes critics, which are notoriously left-leaning.
They hate everything. They're fucking assholes.
Unless it's woke.
But versus the audience score.
Yeah, but the audience score was good, and the critic score was good. And I remember Ben Shapiro last year saying, "We're not trying to make conservative. Listen, guys, we're not trying to make conservative movies. We're trying to make movies that everybody enjoy." And I remember thinking to myself, "Yeah, he's saying that, but it's going to be a conservative movie, so I'll pass. I'm not going to watch it. Plus, you needed to get a Daily Wire subscription, which is like $140 a year, and I'm not hating on that because I'll pay a subscription for anything. I'm a member of the Mug Club. Shout out Steven Crowder. Anyway." So
is that his dad that's on the? Is that his dad that's on the show?
His dad is his mom. His mom is the costume designer for the show because she worked in Montreal's version of Hollywood, Canada's version of Hollywood.
I thought I asked about his dad. Okay,
but yeah, his dad was a professional hockey player.
But that's his dad on the show, right?
Yeah. Well, his dad's in the show, not every episode though. His dad plays Joe Biden on the show. Whenever they do a Joe Biden skit, his dad plays Joe Biden.
Gotcha.
So, anyway. So they put out their first movie, Run, Hide, Fight, and all I heard about when it came out was it was a school shooter movie. And I was like, pass. I know how this is going to be. I pray to the good Lord, and the good Lord saves me from a school shooter. That was my instant thought. Well, 2 nights ago, they released their second movie, which was Shut In. And I started hearing reviews like really good movie, doesn't redefine the genre of thriller, but it's entertaining the whole way through. So I don't know what happened, but something gave me the bug, and I was like, okay, screw it. And I broke down, and I bought the subscription to watch the movies. And I watched them both in order, Run, Hide, Fight, and Shut In. And I got to tell, and the reason I did it is because when Gina Carano got fired from Disney, Ben Shapiro that day said, Gina Carano, we here at the Daily Wire would love to sign you to a whatever you want contract to do whatever you want. And she's like, I want to make movies, I want to act, and I want to actually direct. So she signed up for the next movie. She's the main actress in the next movie. I don't think she directed it. She might have. I could be wrong. But I know she's directing a movie for coming up. But this is the next movie coming up. We'll watch the trailer real quick, and then I'll get in the plots of the other two because I've actually seen them. So let's go ahead and watch the trailer. This is Gina Carano's first movie since getting fired from Disney, and it's called Terror on the Prairie. Terror on the Prairie.
Terror on the Prairie.
Terror on the Prairie. Oh, and it also has Nick Sarcy from Justified in it. He's the other main actor in this. Here we go. You ready?
I'm ready, man.
Now, it looks like she's a single mom, and I'm going to tell you a story why I think she's a single mom. What's that?
Where was this filmed?
I think Montana. I think. Don't know for a fact, but I think she's a single mom, and I'll explain why once we get done watching the trailer, because I've noticed a trend in the first 2 Daily Wire movies that it's kind of a lone parent scenario.
Dude, she looks like her cervix would snap your dick in half, like one of those fucking sugar sticks in the powder package. Remember those? What were they called? The Fun Dip with the color powder.
Be careful how you talk, because I think Gina Carano is one of the most wonderful ladies to walk this planet.
Dude, I think she's a hot version of China, is what I'm saying.
Dude, fuck
I'm
you.
glad she's like, fuck you, fuck me, fuck you. I just gave her a compliment, you fucking imbecile. God, you're insecure with who you
All
are,
right.
man. I can't believe
You're
you probably
right.
fucked
You're
a lot
right.
of pigs on Tinder. You Tinder
All right.
pigs.
So what we got so far is a woman walking out of her house in the middle of nowhere. I think it's filmed in Montana, and she sees two dudes on a horse standing in front of her house, and now we cut right here to her holding a knife covered in blood.
This looks like Caitlyn Jenner's film debut. Yeah, baby. Can you hear me?
Nick Sarcy, bro. Look at him.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, because we got to talk over this so we don't get copyright struck, is all I'm saying. I want to make sure
We're
that people
pausing.
hear it.
We're pausing.
Okay.
As long as you pause, that's fair use.
Okay.
I know I'm trying to avoid it.
Okay, go back. Nick Cersei. I didn't see. I wasn't paying attention. I just want to get copyright.
He looks like he's the head of the Outlaws.
Him?
The one who just said your sins have found you out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stop. Ooh. That actually looks really good.
Dude,
That
okay.
looks, let me tell you something. That looks as good as the original and the Coen Brother remake of True Grit, which, by the way, is back on Netflix now. But that looks fucking good, man.
Okay. So
How can I watch that?
A Daily Wire. We'll talk offline. I'll hook you
Okay.
up. If you want to watch these movies, the only way you can watch them is on dailywire.com. One cool thing Daily Wire does is when they premiere, and I miss this for Shut-In. When they premiere the movies, they premiere them on YouTube for free, like live. But there's no live stream. Once it's over, it's over.
Gotcha.
So if you miss it live, you miss it. But Shut-In, the reason Shut-In and this trailer got released on the same day. I saw the trailer. I missed the Shut-In live premiere, so I said, "Screw it! I'll go ahead and watch. I'll go ahead and get the subscription and watch." And I decided I was going to watch them in order. And I'm like, I went into these with the lowest expectations. Gina Carano's what drew me into this because I love Gina Carano and I want to support anything she does. If she does something, I'm going to support it because I have a lot of respect for her, because in a time where speaking your mind is considered illegal in the court of public opinion, she has no problem standing up for what she believes in, and her views are very similar to my views.
I heard she eats Chinese food with chopsticks through her vagina.
I eat Chinese food with chopsticks.
But I heard she uses
not through my vagina.
I heard her vagina muscles are so strong that they can actually operate chopsticks because she's.
I'm sure she does Kegels. That woman does Kegels, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Snap your tiny little dick off.
All right, so I watched Run, Hide, Fight, and spoilers. I'm going to get into some spoilers. I won't give everything away, but there is definitely stuff that's going to come out. I went into it with the lowest expectations, and the movie opens up with the daughter of a washed-up Marine sniper going hunting with her dad, who's a retired Marine sniper. And you get the vibe really quickly that like there's distance between them and they're going deer hunting, so it instantly drew me into the film. In the first minute, they're going deer hunting. And he's teaching her how to hunt.
Nerd.
He's teaching her how to hunt, and you get the vibe that mom's not in the picture. That's the vibe you get while they're deer hunting. She shoots the deer, hits it right in the fucking bread box, and the deer's still alive, though. It's still kicking when they get up to it. And he goes into this long-winded explanation on how an animal should... It's the right thing. I don't want to say long-winded because I'm a hunter. I'm a very avid hunter, and what he said was right. But it was a lot of exposition for a movie. All you can say is, hey, no animal deserves to suffer. Take it out of its misery as quickly as possible. And then she bashes the deer with the head of the deer with a rock. And then it goes into it, and it's a school shooter movie. Well, let me stop before I get into the school shooters part. Then it cuts to them coming home, and the weekend's over, and she's got to go to school, and she's eating a bowl of cereal, and she's talking to her mom. And here's where a big spoiler comes into play. It's easily attainable that when she's talking to her mom, you could tell it's a ghost. Like it's not clearly stated it's a ghost, but you could tell her mom's dead, and she's talking to somebody that's not there. And as the conversation progresses, her and her mom are having a conversation. Her dad walks in. They try to sixth sense you. You know what I mean? But they end it really quickly. They don't keep it going on for very long. And you realize really quickly her mom died of cancer recently. And her dad's like, maybe we should talk to somebody. Then she goes to school. Her best friend picks her up for school. And then on the way to school, they start seeing little shit around town. Like the weird kids of school are out in the middle of a field fucking around. and shit like that, where you could see something's getting set up. School shooting scenario happens, but it's not like a school shooting where a kid brings a gun in and kills as many people as possible. It's more like a Columbine or a Lords of Chaos, where it's a group of kids and they have a stated purpose.
Is it set in modern
day? Like it's set in
Parkland would have been the closest comparison, I guess, unless there's something.
But it's not. Parkland was one guy. This was a group of people.
Okay.
This was like a group of the loners.
Killers. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, this was like a group of like Lords of Chaos or Columbine. Multiple kids got together, devised a plan, but they had a stated goal, and it had social media was involved in the stated goal. They were basically kids who weren't paid attention to, weren't popular. Everybody wrote them off, shit like that. And this girl is going through the shooting, and when the shooting happens, it breaks out in the cafeteria. She's in the cafeteria eating lunch, but she spills something. Her friend spills something on her. Awkward conversation between her and her friend. Watch the movie. I highly recommend it. And she goes into the bathroom, and that's when the shooting breaks out. It's when she's in the bathroom. She then gets in the air ducts to crawl out because she realizes what's going on. She figures out there's a school shooting, and she has the ability to escape. And throughout the story, throughout the movie, her mom keeps showing up. And there's a progression of her and her mom talking to each other that plays into the overarching theme of the story. And right at the beginning of the movie, she's out of the school and she can run to safety and she's done. You know what I mean? She's out of the shooting, but that's not who her father raised her to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The movie, here it is. This is the best amalgamation I can give. The movie is a female lead, and it's Die Hard. Oh, shit. I had a great analogy. Now I'm too drunk to remember. But it was Die Hard mixed with another movie.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm kind of hammered.
Oh, my God, dude. I've been fucking eating edibles all day, hitting my fucking space bong, hitting my vape
I've eaten nothing but chicken and vegetables. I have no carbs. Beer. I have no carbs in my body to soak up the alcohol.
Stop being such a pussy, man. Just grow the fuck up and handle
Anyway.
The great change that name.
Here's the thing. It's a movie with a female lead that I truly enjoyed, and I got shit for hating Ghostbusters 2016. I got shit for hating
that because that movie sucks.
Yeah, well, my woke friends. My woke friends from my past.
Your woke friends have no goddamn
you don't like here's their only take. You didn't like Ghostbusters 2016 because it was an all-female cast. No, that's not the reason I didn't like it. Here, let me explain to you why I didn't like it. No, I know you didn't like it because you're a sexist. And then that would end the conversation. I'm like, okay, whatever. But
I'd like to go on the record as saying that movie not only sucked, but should be burned. And Paul Feig, I love you, but your defense of it is inexcusable. You know why it sucked. It's not because it's women. It's because it wasn't a good movie. Same with Afterlife.
Agreed.
I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love it and everyone wants to give me shit. That's going to dovetail into what I want to talk about when we're done with this. But I did not like Afterlife. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you liked it your first go around.
I fucking hate that movie so much.
The nostalgia wore off is what you're trying to say.
Oh, it's
okay.
Not
so anyway, female lead. But here's the thing: it was, and I got shit for Ghostbusters, Captain Marvel, but I loved Wonder Woman, the original Wonder Woman.
It's a wonderful movie. That's a great movie,
and that was always my defense. Like, you can't tell me I'm a sexist because I think Gal Gadot and I think Wonder Woman was a fantastic film. 1984 wasn't as good as the first, but I still like 1984. Anyway, so this movie, female lead, but it's not push it in your face that it's a female lead, and everything is realistic. And there's a big problem I have. Like, I'll tell you this: I didn't like Atomic Blondes with Charlize Theron, and everybody's like, "You didn't like it because she's a woman." No, it's like a yes and no. I didn't like it not because she's a woman. I didn't like it because I didn't like watching a 90-pound woman throw around 300-pound men. That's not realistic.
No, she was better off in Fury Road when it comes to that.
And in this movie, she was a badass high school girl, but the reason she was badass is because she knew how to use a firearm. She knew how to use any weapon that was in her hands, whether it was a fire extinguisher, a pipe, a gun, whatever she got her hands on to give her an advantage, she knew how to use, and she defended her life to the best of her ability. The one time in the movie she got into a fist fight with one of the shooters, she got her ass whooped. which I thought was fantastic. She got the shit kicked out of her when she got into an actual fist fight. I won't spoil what saved her from the fist fight because it's one of the most endearing parts of the movie, but she got her ass kicked, which is realistic. If you are a 80-pound teenage girl and you are fighting a 250-pound man, you're going to get your ass whooped. But if you're an 80-pound woman with a gun fighting a 250-pound man, the fucking fight is equal, if not in your favor. But the moral of the story was a good guy with a gun will always be the one who stops a bad guy with a gun, or girl, or woman, or non-binary, two-spirited animal. Whatever you want to call yourself, I don't care.
Doing the right thing is doing the right thing, regardless of what the fuck you think you need recognition for.
Yeah, and watching her struggle with the moral dilemmas she faces is fantastic. Second movie was Shut In. Shut In was a movie that was really well done.
A horror thriller kind of movie, right?
I'm not no horror. I don't want to say horror because I feel if you say horror, you're misleading. It's a thriller. Okay. Here's the story. I'll tell you the story. I'll give you the broad strokes. Woman whose grandmother, a recovering drug addict who has 2 kids, whose grandmother was raising those kids. The grandmother died, and grandma left her the house, so she's trying to sell the house and get the fuck out of there and move down to Texas away from her drug-addicted husband and all of her drug addict friends so she can stay clean and take care of her kids for the first time in her life. Okay? So she's cleaning out her grandmother's house, which is where she grew up with her grandma, because I guess her mom was a piece of shit too.
Sure, my base up, right?
But she's just got sober like in the last 6 months, and she's trying really hard to be a good mom. There's an old pantry that has a lock on it, and she gets locked in the pantry. And the thriller, there's no like supernatural thriller to it. The thriller of it is my kids are outside of this pantry. I'm stuck inside this pantry, and I can't get out to take care of them. Her husband, who is a drug dealer, who's a drug addict, shows up with his drug dealer buddy, who is also a child molester, while she's locked in this closet. And all the crazy loops and turns that it takes from there.
You know what? I'm out. I don't want to hear any more about it. I'm good, man.
I'll tell you what. Here was my problem. I thought religion, it was going to get pushed in your face because religion plays an aspect of it. Okay. But it's not like a supernatural Christ comes in and like she prays to the Lord and the day is saved. You're saying because of the child molester, right?
Yep. Don't need to see it. Don't need to see it. I'm good.
There's no child molestation. I will.
Don't care. Don't need to see it. I'm good.
Okay. I thought that too. In the middle of watching it, it was one of those movies where like I'm watching it and I'm like, I want to stop watching this, but I'm entertained. I'm entertained, and I kept going. And when it ended, I'm like, you did it. You made an entertaining movie. Run, Hide, Fight was better, but I thought Shut In on its own was a very, very good movie. I probably wouldn't watch it again though. Run, Hide, Fight. I will watch Run, Hide, Fight again.
Running Scared's the only Paul Walker movie I'll never watch again in my life, man, and it's because of that. I don't need to see shit like that anymore, man.
Well, there's nothing in there. That is fine.
So, I gotta start drinking water a little bit. So, you want to dovetail it into our final movie topic before heading into our news?
Yeah. Do you have a little bit of talking before we play here?
Yeah, I got a little bit of talking. I did throw a link up. Okay, while you pee, I threw another link up in private chat. That second link. The only reason I put it in there is because I figured we could add it into the description as something to promote. It's a movie called The Dirties. The only reason I added that is because you triggered my memory when you were talking about that movie Ben Shapiro made about school shooters. The Dirties is a movie that came out a couple of years ago. I own it on Blu-ray. Go pee. I'm gonna talk. Go pee. Goddamn, dude. Just listen. Fuck. Paul's going to put the link in the description trailer. Maybe we'll even watch it later in the show. Probably not. But if we do, hey, cool. If not, I recommend looking out the movie called The Dirties. It came out a couple of years ago. I own it on DVD. It is one of a handful of movies. I also own, oh, God damn it. I can't think of the name of the movie now. Kevin Smith created Smodcast Pictures around the time he did Red State. And he was going to start producing and putting out indie films that he liked under his banner Smodcast Pictures, and The Dirties is one of them. And it's a shot on handmade film from the killer's perspective of high school shooters, a Columbine in a sense. and it's made by two Canadian actors who went on to make some really great films. They made another movie. I can't think of the name of it now off the top of my head, but it was a movie about the faking of the moon landing. It was fucking spectacular. Just interesting filmmakers with interesting story ideas. It's called The Dirties. I'm going to have Paul put the link for the trailer in the box below.
I'm doing it right now. I'm gonna put Doug's movie recommendations and Paul movies recommendations, and I'll put the trailers in right now.
I got to look up why
Mine's
you're
gonna
doing
be Run Hide Fight. Mine's gonna be Run Hide Fight. I recommend everybody watch it if you have the time.
Bindle Stiffs. Oh my God, I got to get the link for that. That's the other. I'm sorry, we're on the topic of movie recommendations, and I'm talking about The Dirties. Okay, the reason I brought up The Dirties is because Paul was talking about this movie that's a school shooting type movie, and which is what The Dirties is, which is what Kevin Smith put out under his Smodcast Pictures film banner. One of the other movies he put out like 3 or 4. And only 2 of them I actually own. I bought them. I liked them so much I bought them on DVD. And Bindle Stiffs is the other one. And I'm so lit right now that I could not tell you for the life of me what the movie was about. I just know that it made me laugh from beginning to end, and it's fucked up. And I'm also adding the trailer in private chat for Bindle Stiffs because I want to promote that this week on this week's episode. So I'll have Paul throw that in there. And if you think I have good taste or you enjoy listening to me and you take anything I say to heart, whatever Paul's about to do for Doug's recommendations in the description.
I just sent the link you sent me.
That's totally fine.
Wait, you just sent the new one. Is that the one you want?
That's I want them both. The second one is for, there's 3 of them. Okay. No, just listen to me. Okay. There's 3 links in private chat, right? The first link is the one that we're going to talk about next that we're going to react to. The second one is for The Dirties, the school shooting movie that I'm talking about.
And that's the one you want to recommend.
Correct.
Okay.
And then there's a second recommendation, which is the third link. And it's the only reason I'm recommending it.
Save that for next week. Save that for next week. We'll do this in the description once a week. Our movie recommendations.
This isn't fair. I don't like it when you create rules. This is what it's like to live in a white man's world.
Because I'm trying to make the description box not cluttered.
Sure, boss.
All right. The second link is in the description as Doug's movie recommendation. I have a movie recommendation in there too, because I'm also trying to do tags as we go along too. I've got a lot of shit going on here.
Take a deep breath, Bubby.
All right, continue on. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm good, man. That's what I was going on about. It's a recommendation. It's a great movie, and I thought you were going to get ready for our next segment where you pull.
I've got it ready to go. We're good.
You let me know when you're ready. So, all right, we're going to react to the Jurassic World Dominion trailer. Before we start, I need to stress that I want to say maybe a month or 2 ago, they released before a movie. I don't have the info for me. I'm sorry, guys. But before some IMAX movie, they released like the first 5 or 7 minutes of the new Jurassic World Dominion movie, not the trailer, the movie. And it was set during, I believe, the Cenozoic era, and it just looked fascinating. I love Jurassic Park. I don't really give a fuck about the Jurassic World movies. I'll watch them, but I like dinosaurs. I'm fascinated by that subject. And the first couple of minutes they released like a month or 2 ago was really good. I was excited to see this movie based on what I saw. A couple of days ago, they released the Jurassic World Dominion trailer, and I got to tell you, I think I already hate this movie the way I hate Ghostbusters Afterlife, the way I hate Star Wars The Force Awakens, even though I actually it's fucked up. I actually kind of enjoy The Force Awakens, but when I think about it, The Force Awakens is the template for everything I fucking hate now, where they're taking all of the things that I grew up loving and remaking them for a new audience. And I get why they're doing it. I just don't like how they're doing it. I just don't like the stories. And this is no different. If you're watching this live, you'll get to see us react to it. If not, we'll probably end up having to cut it. It might get copyright struck on YouTube. But this is the trailer for Jurassic World Dominion. And as soon as they come up on screen, I will start fucking saying my goddamn piece. Does my screen look orange or yellow to you, by the way?
It's got a yellow tinge to it.
Because it looks that way.
Your ring light's not on. Turn your ring light on. It comes perfect.
No, my ring light is on, buddy. My ring light's on.
Weird. It looks like your yellow light from overhead. Can you turn your ring light up? Can you adjust the settings on your ring light?
That's so weird. I don't know why.
Is your ring light off to the right side of you?
Yeah, I'm using it so I don't wash out everything, but I had it tilted backwards facing up, so it just kind of like lights everything against the walls.
Yeah, don't do that. Have it where it was directly in front of you, pointing at you.
I think it's also that orange light. Remember I talked about how you said keep that light on?
Yes, we talked about this last week. I said the orange light ahead oranges the background, but your ring light lights you up.
All right,
we talked about this last week.
Anyway, like we said this afternoon, 70 milligrams in.
All right, I'm gonna play the trailer, and I'm gonna take my dogs out while the trailer's playing.
Oh, I'm glad we can react to this while I'm reacting to this. That's cool.
Okay. Oh wait, but
I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you, dude.
Let's go. Let's watch it.
I'm trying to make the show entertaining. All this fucking movie is, man. Go take the dogs out. I'll continue to talk.
All right.
All right. So, are you gonna take your headset with you and listen?
Yeah, I'll be listening.
Okay. Cool. All right. So, let's see. While he's taking the dogs out, I didn't have. I'll be honest with you. I didn't have any other topics written down other than what we're going to talk about news-wise. So let's talk about my day yesterday. Yesterday, I was depressed. No, let's not talk about yesterday. Yesterday, I was depressed. Let's talk about what's going on in the news. I'll tell you what, while Paul's gone, we're going to do a thing called Doug inebriatedly looks at his news. All right, what comes up in the top stories of Apple News? All right, here we go. The first thing off Reuters. I don't know how you pronounce it. I don't care. Biden tells Putin. Reuters.
It's Biden. Reuters.
Okay. Biden tells Putin Ukraine invasion would bring decisive response. So my question is, I don't know. I don't think I'm not going to say I don't think. I don't believe that the current White House. I believe that they're ramping it up. Part of me doesn't try. I don't trust Russia. I don't trust Putin as far as I can fucking throw him. But I also don't know if what the White House and what the media is portraying to be true. Because I'm hearing the Ukraine president saying, like, stop the rhetoric, stop ramping it up, let us handle this. And the only thing it's weird from a rational perspective, you're like, I don't want to think that the White House is lying, but at the same time, I'm like, well, why does Russia have all the troops lining up in battle position? And that's where I'm at. Like, I don't know who to trust anymore at this point. I don't know what's real. I don't know if the Ukraine president is saying stop the rhetoric in the same sense that like a Saudi prince would have like a subject like say this on tape. I know I'm going to keep you in a hotel against your will, and you're going to be my prisoner, and you're my uncle, and you're a royal crown prince, but you're going to say what I say if you want to keep living and you want your family to keep living. I don't know if it's one of those situations where, you know what I mean? Like, I guess that's why I'm bringing this up, Paul, if you're listening. I don't understand where we sit. I don't understand what the real threat is here. I don't understand what's real. Is America right? Is it going to be scary, or is Ukraine and Russia going to like hash the shit out amongst themselves and we're just fucking Brian Stetzering the whole fucking thing? Arnold Schwarzenegger's son, Joseph Banya, says actor is doing really well after a car accident. I didn't realize it was in a car accident, but I'll tell you what, if none of you have been online and seen, fuck that. I'm gonna get a link and we'll put it in. I'll fucking put it in the YouTube description after the show. There's a link to a 12 to 20 minute YouTube clip from the show called The Bonfire. It's a radio show on Faction Talk Radio on Sirius Satellite that I listen to with Big J Okerson and Dan Soder. And they have running themes on the show that I really love listening to. Corey Feldman's one of them. And they do this 12 to 20 minute bit where they talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger's half Mexican son, Joseph Banya. And it's one of the funniest things. I'm going to put the link in there for you guys to listen to. But that's what I think of when I think of him. Next article. That was Fox News. I love Fox News. That's probably why it shows up in my YouTube feed all the fucking time. Jennifer Lopez from People Magazine.
I'm back.
Fucking Christ.
I'm back.
So did you hear me about the Biden tells Putin Ukraine thing?
Yep, and that was on my list of things to talk about. So let's get into the news. All right, so my list of things in news, Russia was definitely on there, and I got to grab another beer. So I'm glad that you brought that up, Doug, and I got to hear your opinion unfiltered because me and Doug haven't talked about this offline, and we can now actually have a genuine conversation about it. So here's the way this is all playing out. Russia and Ukraine's been heating up, and it's been big in the international news circuit. And just like Doug said, Biden and the Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, had a phone call where Biden was like, "World's on fire. They're going to attack." And Zelensky was like, No. We have open communications with Russia. Please stop amping up the rhetoric. You're not helping the situation. We're okay." And since then, the Ukrainian president has come out and said, "Hey, talks are going well. We think we can de-escalate. Blah 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 blah." And then Biden's White House is putting out war is imminent. It's going to happen this week. Every U.S. citizen has to get out. What this all breaks down to, this whole situation has broke down to since the beginning. Ukraine used to be part of the USSR, and then when the USSR broke up, it was part of the Russian Federation. They split from the Russian Federation, I think, in 2015. And Biden wants them to be a part of NATO. Russia, under no circumstances, wants them to be part of NATO, because then that puts NATO troops at his doorstep. Then NATO has an actual foothold. And Putin himself has a problem with the expansion of NATO eastwards, because if you are a part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, your country should border the Atlantic. And I'm not a Russian sympathizer. I'm not on Team Putin. I don't like Team Putin, but I don't fault him for feeling like it's a bad thing for his people to have NATO on his front doorstep. I get where he's coming from as a leader. Not defending him, think he's a horrible person, but I also agree that I don't think Ukraine should be part of NATO because they're not bordering the Atlantic Ocean, which should be a part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. With that said, don't know where this is going to go. We'll see if the White House is right, because they said it's going to happen this week. Russia, I think Russia, what they did was posted troops on the border as a show of force to tell everybody, hey, we don't want to do this, but we'll do it if you keep pressuring this and trying to push for Ukraine. I get the feeling the Ukrainian president doesn't want a country at war and is like, fuck it, we don't want to be part of NATO anyway. Let's everybody get along. We'll sell Russia, Germany, and everybody else natural gas and make a lot of money, and we won't be at war. That's kind of the vibe I get from it. But it seems like the Biden White House wants a war. It seems like they're pushing for a war. I don't know why. I mean, the obvious motive is the military-industrial complex will become rich again if we are back into a war with an actual uniformed military and not some dude sitting in the Middle East in their pajamas all day. Then Boeing and Lockheed Martin can make millions and millions of dollars if we're at war with the second largest power in the world.
At what cost, though? Jesus Christ, we're on the fast track to the Aztecs.
That's what's so weird about the Biden administration.
Hey, look, I'm not orange anymore.
Yeah, it's because your ring lights. It's your ring lights on.
It's been on the whole time.
It's brighter. You turn the temp up on the light.
I turned it off and I turned it on. That's all I did.
Okay. Well, it's brighter. So anyway, the Biden administration's foreign policy is really fucking weird. They don't want industry in America. They want to offshore it to China, and then they want to be at war with Russia so the military-industrial complex can make a lot of money, but regular Americans who work in retail, service, and hospitality don't. It's mind-boggling to me. It's mind-boggling to me.
Out of curiosity, is Kim still watching? Kim, let us know if you're still watching. I'm just curious. Anyway, I
have
agree.
No idea.
When I think of it, I think of Sam Kent. When I think of the Biden administration, this is funny. It's the first time in my adult life. I can honestly say this is the first time I've started paying attention to not just politics, but like that's not true. I started paying attention to politics before, like the year I left Florida is when I started kind of looking at it. When Trump got elected, I started looking at things with an interest, more out of just curiosity, morbid curiosity. As Biden's taken over, and I've kind of sobered up from most of my worst habits, I see things differently, and I see Biden. To me, the Biden administration, I'm not faulting him as a person. I don't know him as a person, but it feels. I think of Sam Kinison did that bit about Orville Roberts as a preacher, And he said, "Who do we got here? We got Orville Roberts. We've got Reverend Jim Baker." He's like, "It's like we've got God's special education team." And when I think of the Biden administration, I think that's America's special education team right now, like, or their dementia team. Like, they don't seem to be making a lot of sense in the actions they're making. It seems like this is the weird thing when you start to see other people from all news networks that normally would prop this stuff up start to like say like, yeah, this seems a little off. He seems a little out of it. Then you gotta like look at it like, what are we doing? Like, what the fuck is going on?
So here's what I think. Here's what I think is wrong with the current federal government. I think first off, it's Democratic controlled, and I don't want to speak ill of all Democrats because not all Democrats deserve ill speak of. But I think the problem we're seeing right now is we have a majority Democratic House that is itself, the Democratic Party itself is split. You have the elite Democrats who are the rich bigwigs and business owners, and then you have the progressive, woke, ultra progressive. I'm not a fan of either. I'm not a fan of either like sites, but you've got those two, and they're fighting with each other. There's conflict in the Democratic Party, and then you've got a president who's trying to appease both sides of that party, and when you try to appease everybody, you lose. On top of him being a completely geriatric, probably
he's losing his mind before us all.
Yeah.
He's truly losing his mind.
And I'm not saying Trump was the savior. I'm not saying Trump was a guy.
No, not at all.
But if you legitimately tell me that America is running better under Biden, you're either blind or stupid.
Here's the thing. I think most people want to be like we've talked about. People don't know they're the villains of the story. They think they're the hero of their story. And I think most people at the end of the day want to feel like they're not just good people, but they're putting out good in the world, whether that be sharing a link about somebody like Trump that they don't like and saying like, look at this piece of shit. Like, I'm doing my part to let you guys know. And the reality is, it's like, there's always going to be people like Trump. That's just the way it is. Like we have to learn how to coexist with each other. People,
yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, man. Like,
and I want to make sure our audience knows that I don't paint Democrats or liberals or whatever you want to call the left side of the party. I don't paint them with a broad brush. There's Democrats I respect. There's Democrats I hate, I think are evil, and there's Democrats I think are stupid. And a prime example of this, Bernie Sanders, even though he's not a Democrat, he's an independent. He caucuses with Democrats. He's basically a Democrat. I don't like Bernie Sanders, but I respect Bernie Sanders because I truly believe he believes what he's doing is the right and what he preaches is the right, and he stood by it consistently for the last 70 years that he's held fucking public office. I think Nancy Pelosi is evil. I think she knows what's right and wrong, and she's choosing the wrong because it makes her richer. And then AOC is the third part of that, where I don't hate AOC. I just think AOC's dumb, and she doesn't understand what the game she's in.
Yeah,
and granted, I'm not saying I'm a scholar. I'm telling you, as a guy who drinks beer on Saturday nights and talks to his brother in front of our audience, what I think as an everyday American. And I don't think every conservative is good. I think there's dumb, stupid, evil conservative just on the Republican side as well.
Oh, I agree. Both sides are polluted with terrible people, man. Like, the world needs to be better. And the reality is, like, how do you fix the situation we're in? And the reality is like, I don't know if
dialogue,
communication. Dialogue, like you say dialogue, but here's the reality. How long can you get people to pull themselves away from this to have dialogue? And that's the world we live in. We live in a world where people genuinely want to put on a headset and live in the metaverse, man. Like, you can't.
And I agree with you. And I think that's. We got comments. Kim, I have to go to bed. I'll watch the rest of the morning. Have a good night, guys. I hope we weren't the ones putting you to sleep, Kim, but have a good night.
We totally were. When you went to let the dogs out, I fucking tanked the show.
Oh, it's all right. I'm over it.
I am too.
All right. So yeah, that's where as far as the Russia-Ukraine thing goes, that's where I stand. As far as fixing America, it's going to take a lot of work, and I don't know if people want to put the work in. I don't know if people want to have the conversations. I think we're too happy fighting with each other to realize what the puppet masters are actually doing, and that's just my opinion.
I got no desire to fight with anybody. Sometimes I want to just take breaks, but I don't have a desire to fight with anybody. Communication is key. I agree with you, but at the same time, I also know the world I live in right now. I see the youth growing up in the world I live in. You know what's funny to me is I think about how the worst thing that our parents thought of that could happen to us was getting caught with like a Playboy or a Hustler magazine, like in my case. But like I think about the kids that I know now and the friends I have who have kids now and the shit that they've gone through already with the internet and cell phones. And it's like I never had a porn tape out at 13 or 14, so I guess I guess my parents should consider themselves lucky that the worst thing they found was Larry Flint's fine publication. Rest in peace. However, Hugh Hefner can go fuck himself. I started watching the A&E documentary, the Playboy Secrets of the Mansion or something like that, and it was this expose documentary, kind of like the R. Kelly, kind of like Leah Remini's Scientology documentary series. It's like it's not. I wouldn't say sensationalized. It kind of is. I just lost my train of thought. Holy shit! What was I talking about, Paul? Hurry up, jog my memory. I can't believe I'm this bad right now.
Sensationalized.
Playboy. Thank you. Hustler. This documentary that A&E put out truly just ruined I always thought Hugh Hefner was kind of creepy, but I didn't hate Hugh Hefner the same way I didn't hate what's his face, the Hedgehog, Ron Jeremy, until all the shit came out about him. This documentary is painting Hugh Hefner in a light that I probably, if I would have been smart enough, I could have seen. But I was too entranced by like the Hollywood glitz and glamour of the Playboy experience. But that's why I like Larry Flint more, because Larry Flint threw his shit on the table. Like he fought for freedom of speech. He fought for the right to like. So what? I like showing a girl's beaver in my magazine. I don't give a fuck. I'm an American. You don't like it? Suck my dick. And then somebody shot him, paralyzed him. He's like, oh yeah, you don't like it? I'm still gonna put out girls' beavers in my magazine. And if you don't like it, I'm paralyzed. You can still suck my dick. I won't feel it, motherfucker. I miss Larry Flint. God damn it, he was so awesome. I don't know why.
Yeah. All right, so transitioning into the next news story I wanted to talk about. The infamous Biden crack pipes. Crack pipes.
Didn't really follow into this. I saw the memes and the jokes that were popping up about it, which made me laugh hysterically.
So Biden funded a program. I think it's under the Health and Human Services. Could be wrong. By the way, precursor: don't take anything we say as gospel. Always do your own research.
Yeah, for fuck's sake,
find out your own sources. But here's the skinny as I understand it. Biden funded a program through HHS with a multitude of things. It was a $30 million price tag to you and I as the taxpayer and everybody watching.
It was a Homeland
Health and Human Services.
You got to explain for people like me.
Okay, yeah, Health and Human Services, HHS. Where it was safe drug kits. There's other things besides the safe drug kits. What everybody's bringing into question is the safe drug kits. The drug kits are made by a certain company, and that's important to this. And I can't remember the company's name. Again, do your own research. But the drug kits include stem glass pipes and clean syringes on top of a bunch of other stuff, clean drug kits. Well, what is a glass stem pipe used for?
Well, not just crack. I mean, I could use a glass pipe to hit dabs too if you're in a tough thing. They call them suckers, honey sticks.
What do you think the majority of underutilized or disadvantaged people in Chicago, Washington D.C., New York are going to use that for?
Don't do that. You're assuming that's what the Biden administration thinks.
That's where these places are going to go. All this funding always goes to the big cities.
Let me ask you before you delve into this, because I know what you're talking about. I'm not being funny, but like, was it either? I'm thinking of three. My brain's fucked up, but Seattle, Portland, or Canada. One of those three places put in place clinics where junkies could go to use clean needles and clean pipes. One of those places legalized it. Do you know which one? You know what I'm talking about?
That definitely sounds like Portland.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it is Portland because I don't know for a fact.
Because I remember reading about this close to a decade ago. So if that happened a decade ago, I'd be curious to see if it's Portland, I know how the outcome is. But if it's Canada, I'm curious to see what area actually did that and what the area is like now when they did it and they implemented it.
I think I'm pretty sure Canada's only legalized weed. I know that Washington
legalized across the globe.
Washington legalized weed. I don't know if Oregon is a legal weed state. I'm assuming it is, but Portland itself, I know Portland City police have said they're not enforcing like any drugs. So I'm saying it sounds like Portland. What you're describing would sound like Portland. They also did it on The Wire, season 3 of The Wire. They decriminalized drugs on 2 blocks.
It's been so long since I watched it. I have to rewatch that show.
Yeah. Oh, I rewatch The Wire once a year at least.
My favorite season was the season of the kid. I think it was season 3 or 4. I think it was 3. The kids selling in the projects, all the young kids. That season of their story. That season 2. I actually enjoyed season 2. Not a lot of people like season 2, but I remember the was it the Irish Mafia or whatever. Yeah. I like that. I like The Wire. I got
season 2 is good. That's where you're. It's not the Irish Mafia. It's kind of the Polish, but it's not Polish at all. It's the dock workers, but all the dock workers are majority Polish. So the crack pipe thing. When they do the fact check on it, the fact check from Snopes is like mostly false. President Biden is not spending millions of dollars on crack pipes, comma, it's crack pipes plus a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's true. The clean drug kit from the company that they contracted, it has like Narcan in it, which is like the overdose thing that cops can spray up the nose. It's got
is it a chemical? Because I've heard Tom Cruise I've gone on a Scientology kick where I go down these rabbit holes of documentaries and TV series and that. And Tom Cruise was he got back in 2002, I believe, he got awarded the Scientology Freedom Medal of Valor, which was only invented to make a giant spectacle about Tom Cruise being the ambassador for Scientology. But he talks about in this crazy video that they produced where he looks like he's losing his mind on camera. He talks about how Scientology has the use of Narcan, and I always wondered what the fuck Narcan was. And I didn't know.
Narcan is okay. Pulp Fiction. Remember when he plunges the
epinephrine
needle into the girl's chest? Yeah, it's Narcan is similar to that, but it's for opioids. It's for fentanyl. It works for heroin, fentanyl, a bunch of other stuff. Look up Narcan. It's if you're ODing on a drug. A paramedic or a cop usually carries it on them. It's part of their utility belt. And Wisconsin had a big thing last year where there was a guy who OD'd on a bus in Milwaukee, and the cop showed up, and he was dying, gave him Narcan. It brought him right out of it. And when he realized, oh shit, I'm high on drugs, I'm a dealer, and there's cops all around me, let me pull the gun out in my waistband that the cops don't know about, kill the cop in front of me, and then kill 2 firefighters who are also there helping me. I'm not saying that as a one way or the other, but that actually happened in Wisconsin. But anyway, so that was the fact check on it. And then the White House came out and said, no, we're not funding crack pipes. We asked the company to pull the glass stems out of it, but the glass stems are part of it. They're playing damage control. We were funding clean drug kits. $30 million worth of clean drug kits. The drug kits included crack pipes and syringes for heroin. Clean syringes.
Can you imagine what my life would be like if I still lived in Florida right now? I would have gone through a pretty shitty first year or so, but as a junkie who spent the last 12 years in Florida as a junkie, God, that sounds like a government funded use of my addiction. Come on, man. I totally would have gone for all of that. I'd be wearing a mask still.
Yeah, and putting my tinfoil hat on, there are people who would say that's what the government wants. They want to keep inundating you with drugs and porn and high fat, high trans fat, high calorie food. Here's how you happy so they can do what they want.
Here's how you get me to do that. It's very simple. You don't offer me a vaccine for COVID. You market the vaccine as contains this amount of ... opium.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll take whatever you give me from now until the end of the time if the government's footing the bill. That's how you would have fucking gotten me.
Here's my biggest problem with vaccine mandates. It has nothing to do with the efficacy, whether they work or not. My problem is the government gave them protection from lawsuits before it even came out. And now you can't sue the company who made it, and it's being forced into your body under mandates by some governments. It obviously got shot down by our government unless you work in the nursing or medical field. Yeah. But think about that. If you have an adverse reaction, and so far, last I checked the numbers in VIRS, which are completely underproduced, was 22,000. but there's 22,000 people who have died from the COVID vaccine that cannot get any justice for their loss. Families that can't get any justice for their family loss because the U.S. government said Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson are not liable for anything that happens with this vaccine.
I got to tell you, you were talking about how when you went to the doctor, how they told you that it was good that you didn't get the vaccine because of your heart murmur, the adverse effects of whatever the vaccine could do to you. And then I think it was Dave Smith on Rogan this week talking about how the CDC had come out and said that if you've gotten COVID and weren't vaccinated, that you have a better shot of dealing with Omicron. Like that your immune system is way better equipped to deal with it than it had you gotten vaccinated.
And precursors, real quick, we don't give any medical advice on this podcast. Please consult your doctor and CDC data to draw your own conclusions.
I live my life like this. I'm not giving people advice. If people look, my name is American Idiot in the fucking corner, dude. If you take advice from me, you're a fool. Other than TV, I'm solid on fucking TV and music. I'll take that to my grave. I don't give a fuck what people think. But when it comes to that, yeah, don't take my advice, research it. But I'm going to say, for me as a person, as an individual, I firmly believe I got COVID in November of 2019. It was the sickest I've ever been in my entire life. It lasted almost a month, to the point where after all of the antibiotics they tried, this is before COVID was COVID. After everything the doctor tried antibiotic-wise, they thought I might have pneumonia. And then after a month or so, it just kind of went out of my system.
Yeah, I got over December of 2019, right?
November.
Talking about
November bleeding into December. I remember just going into work in the mornings at that time, just thinking I was dying. It felt like my body was breaking down from within. Like everything, all my bones, my organs, everything was just. I can't explain it other than it just felt like I had a super flu, but in every fiber and atom of my being. And I got over it after a month. I was really getting worried about it. And then COVID was announced in, I want to say, February, March of 2020.
Yeah, it started becoming big in February. March 13th is when we went into lockdowns.
And I turned 40, right shortly after that. And then, and now, we're at the point where we're at now, where it feels like it's kind of dying down amongst all people, from what I can tell. Although the governments around the world, with the exception of a handful, want to keep making you think it is. But it's one of those moments where I got it in 2019, and then I think I'm almost positive, and then I for sure, because we didn't have tests then, but then I for sure got it recently, like 2 or 3 months ago, and survived. It was 2 weeks.
You tested positive. You actually tested positive.
I tested positive. I was sick as a dog for like maybe 2 weeks. I wouldn't say sick as a dog. I would say sick for a week. And then the second week, it was just I didn't have my sense of taste or smell, which I've gotten back. But
so me and Doug got it at the same time. It was deer season, so the second week of
Ghostbusters Afterlife came out.
Ghostbusters Afterlife, the premiere weekend. We both got it at the same time. We both had very, very similar symptoms. Not much delineation between the two of us, but there was a little bit of difference. For me, I would say I was sick just like Doug for 5 days, but I was out of commission, like no joke. I felt terrible one day. And I also want to say that one day of terrible was not the worst sick I've ever been in my life.
No.
Like I've had flus that were definitely way worse.
That's what it felt like to me.
Personally.
Like for me personally, it felt like I had the flu. It just felt like I had the flu, but for the first time ever, my sense of taste and smell were taken away from me. That never happened with the flu before. It was my sense of taste and smell were certainly dwindled, but it was never fully gone. This was gone.
This was gone. Yeah, it was gone.
I didn't get my sense of smell or taste, but my smell came back last. My taste was like a month and a half. My smell was like 2 or 3 months, I'd say, before I got that back. And even then, it's still very faint to begin with. But I wasn't that sick. It was inconvenient, like being sick is when you're sick. But it was one of those moments where when I tested positive, I remember getting this nervous feeling in my stomach where all I could think about was everybody telling me, like, this is why you want to go to shows. You got to get vaccinated. You want to do this. You want to do that. You're a fucking idiot. And then I remember testing positive and asking the person who tested me, can I get vaccinated? Can I still get vaccinated? And they said, yeah, but they say to wait. John's playing poker. He's playing poker. they say to wait, like I think he said 3 to 6 months after getting COVID before you get vaccinated. And I said, okay. And I took that knowledge for whatever it was to heart. And as I started to feel better, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I am going to get vaccinated because the more common sense and rational started to creep back into my feeling of calmness. I'm like, I'm not going to do something that I don't feel comfortable doing. And the reality is I don't feel comfortable putting something into my body that I don't know the full extent of its outcome. Yeah. That's the only reason. It's not that I don't trust science. Of course I fucking trust science. I don't trust this science because this science is being unlike most science, this science is being specifically marketed to on a global level. And you can call me a conspiracy theorist, a tinfoil hat wearer, fine. But name me one drug that didn't have extensive testing beyond a year to where it was introduced with FDA emergency approval. Like, please, I'll shut my mouth and I'll take whatever you tell me to if you can give me that kind of shit. But the reality is I want to see what the long-term effects of this are. I don't trust it. And I don't trust it not just because I've seen certain people have adverse effects to it, but also what the CDC is telling me. I have a better shot at dealing with things now because I have natural immunity.
You know what? Do you know what's crazy? And this is all anecdotal. Again, not medical advice, just this is anecdotal personal life experience. I know more people who had adverse infections from the vaccine than I do know people who have died from the vaccine. Actually, I don't know anybody directly firsthand that's died.
Neither do
COVID.
I.
And I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I know people have died. I know, like, I have friends whose friends or family members have died, but I don't have anybody that I know directly.
I don't either. I do know people who've gotten it and gotten very, very fucking like deathly sick because like my friend Justin has asthma and almost died from it. So yeah, I do. I'm not discounting that this is something serious. What I'm saying is at this point in time, we know that number one, it's with us for the rest of our lives, our natural born lives. That's just the way it is. It's going to mutate. Yeah. It's going to become it's going to be an endemic. But
we're not in a pandemic. We're in an endemic. You're absolutely right.
Like the focus shouldn't be like this. You're discounting the people who have died from the people that it's affecting. It's not that I'm discounting it. What I'm saying is you shouldn't discount the fact that the higher ups are trying to make you think it's something that it's not. I'm not saying that it's not affecting these groups of people. I'm saying that it's being marketed to us in a specific way that I'm just not buying. I'm just not.
Agreed.
Man, I feel like I sound crazy when I say that shit out loud.
All right, man. Let's transition into my last news story, which is obviously the most fucking badass country of citizens ever.
Rogan?
Fucking Canada. Yeah, we didn't actually talk about Rogan this week. I mean, Dave Smith and Akash Singh were on. I think those episodes are both fantastic and worth the watch.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like Rogan's going to be totally fine. And I'm not saying that like in a hallelujah we win. I'm saying I think he's going to be fine in the sense that like I don't think he has anything to worry about. If he feels bad about saying the word in his apology video, like that's all legit. If that's the case, fine. I have no problem with somebody not wanting to say that word or feeling bad because they've said it and they've been shown that they've said it. I'm just saying, like, I think he's going to be fine in the sense that, like, you're seeing the outpouring from all of the various communities saying, like, we know what's going on now. We're waking up to the bullshit.
No, agreed. Actually, Joe Rogan wasn't my topic, but while we're on it, let's no, you're absolutely, it's good.
God damn it. All I'm thinking about is I wish Bob and John were here. I genuinely do wish they were here right now because I want to do another Brothers from Other Mothers at some point really quickly. But I wish Bob was here because I'm looking at the news feed and I'm thinking back to when Bob came to visit us and we did the Bob and Doug Save You from Boredom from your place, from your camp. And Ted Cruz came on the TV and I don't know why this popped into my head because we were talking about Rand Paul, but Rand Paul's CNN Politics reports Rand Paul said he hopes truckers protest. Rand Paul said he hopes trucker protests clog up cities, including during Super Bowl and in DC. You know what? I kind of hope it happens too. I'm enjoying this. It feels like Escape from New York or Escape from LA. I'm waiting for fucking Kurt Russell to show up on a surfboard in a flame of fires.
So let's talk about Canada this week because there's a lot to fucking cover. Last episode where we left was GoFundMe. GoFundMe stopped their money. Give Send Go stepped up and said, "Hey, we'll go ahead and we'll host the campaign. In the meantime, Canada's Prudential Government of Ontario. So the Prudential Government is what we think of as a state government. Prudential is the province is a state. The state government of Ontario stood up and said they made it illegal to provide gas to truckers. So anybody holding a gas can in the city limits of Ottawa was committing an illegal act, regardless of what it was for. So if you were driving through Ottawa randomly on this day and your car broke down and you ran out of gas and you went and bought a gas can and filled it up and you were walking back to your car, a cop could stop you and you were criminal. You could be arrested and fined.
Can I ask you real quick before you continue? Is Canada they're not like America. They don't have they're not free like the way we are technically.
So
they're still under the royal rule.
No, they are their own country that has broke off. But when they broke off, the Queen made what was called the Tribunal of Human Rights, the bill, something of human rights, where it's got stuff that's similar, but it doesn't hold the weight like our Constitution does. America is the only country that has a Constitution. Well, we're not the only country that has a Constitution, but we're the only country that has a Constitution that enshrines the inherent right, God-given, or if you don't believe in God, flying spaghetti monster, or unalienable, or whatever word you want to use, the right that is not given by a government that says you are free to talk how you want, you are free to protest, you are free to publish anything you want on your own platform and say what you want, and you could scream at anybody and say anything you want. We're one of the only countries that have that. We're also the only country in the world that has the right to bear arms, which, for fuck's sake, people, even if you don't agree with guns, think about what would happen if America didn't have the freedom of fucking the Second Amendment. Go ahead.
Can I say something? I've been following, and maybe he's wrong. Maybe his opinions changed. I haven't followed him in a while, but I used to follow Jim Jeffries before he had a show on Comedy Central that was very left-wing liberal during the Trump administration. Because as you know, Jim Jeffries was not that kind of comedian in the beginning. We've all listened to his earlier stuff, and he's a fucking hilarious person. But I remember him talking about how growing up in Australia, how whatever the significant date was in the 90s where Australians all gave up their guns after that massacre that happened. And now I'm thinking to myself, like I'd listened to so many militia type people in America over the years growing up saying like, you over my cold dead hand, will you take my gun away? And for the most part, I always chalked it up to like, these guys sound fucking crazy. But now I'm living in a world where I'm looking at Australia where they don't have guns if I'm understanding it correctly, and the government is literally coming to them and saying like, we're gonna fucking jail you, mate, if you don't put a fucking mask on.
They've already built camps and put people in camps who have come close to somebody who had COVID, who have COVID, who are unvaccinated. If you're unvaccinated, you could be pulled out of your house and forced to live in a camp so you can learn to concentrate better.
Do you realize we are going to get an actual Road Warrior, Mad Max Fury Road reality at some point with Australia, at least? Like, I'm tempted to fucking move to Australia just for this prospect that I may get to drive next to the Doof Warrior, riding into Valhalla, spray painting silver fucking paint in my face, man. Going, it's a good day to die. Sorry, I know that joke fell flat, as I was saying.
All right. So where we left off in Canada last week, GoFundMe ended the fundraiser because the Ontario government pressured them. They're a California-based company.
How did they pressure them?
They made the protest. The government said it's no longer a protest. It's now an occupation of the city. And then in GoFundMe's eyes, by them, the government doing that, it meant to GoFundMe that it now became an illegal activity. And part of their terms of service is they do not have to provide the funds for illegal activities.
And let me guess, GoFundMe is a woke company because if it's an American,
I would never say that. They're based in California.
Oh,
their headquarters is in California. When we left off, there was a Delaware company owned by a religious Christian organization called Give Send Go, and Give Send Go said, "Hey guys, don't worry, we'll allow that to happen on our platform. You guys can raise for money for truckers on Give Send Go." They were the little guy. They were the little version of GoFundMe, and now they're gaining prominence. Well, over the week, last time I think we left off, there was probably like $1 million raised in 24 hours. Currently it's up to $10 million. So now they're right back to where GoFundMe was in a week.
Wow.
Um, 2 days ago, the Prudential government, so the state government of Ontario, um, announced that their attorney general appealed the courts in Ontario to freeze the assets of Give Send Go and not allow Give Send Go to give the money out to truckers.
Give Send Go is an American company?
It's an American company in Delaware.
Okay.
All right? You with me?
I'm with you.
So now, if you're GoFundMe, when you hear this, you're thinking, oh shit. Here is Give Send Go's response. All right? You ready?
Mm-hmm. Wow, man, this is like getting blue balls right at the end of a hand job when you just stop off, dude.
Sorry, as the Canadian.
Sorry. God, I want to pull my box set out for Degrassi Junior High now that you bring this all up. Canada,
right.
You may be fucked up right now because of your leaders, but God damn it, you create the best comedy and the greatest fucking melodrama.
So 2 days ago, before close of business, the Canadian government, the Canadian courts came out and said that they're going to freeze the assets of Give Send Go. That was at about 5 o'clock. At 7:01, Give Send Go sent out this wonderful tweet. Know this. Canada has absolutely zero jurisdiction over how we manage our funds here at Give Send Go. All funds for every campaign on Give Send Go flow directly to the recipients of those campaigns, not least of which is the Freedom Convoy campaign of 2022. This is how revolutions start, Doug.
And I'd surely stand up next to you and defend you still today. I changed the words up there, but God damn it, it feels like we're side by siding with Canadian people now for the first time.
God bless them, man.
It's no longer about us versus. I remember going to Canada as a kid in Boy Scouts twice in my life. I've been to Canada multiple times, but twice specifically as Boy Scouts. And I remember feeling when we were at the Boy Scout camps with all these different groups from all over the world, I remember Canadian kids calling us fucking Yankees. Now, we were Yankees, but I didn't know that at the time. The way they were saying that to us, the way they were like kind of shouting it at us and fucking with us, it was derogatory. So I always thought Canadians were fucking assholes. It's not Canadians that are assholes. It's the same way that most white people or Americans aren't assholes, or people who are I hear a lot of people saying like now right wing is being labeled as freedom, and I'm like, no, that's what the country was fucking founded on. It's the first time ever where I'm starting to acknowledge this and realize this, and it's like it's not about that. There is an upper echelon of people that are fucking running things that we seem to continuously fucking elect, and I'm at the point now where it's like I can't wait to see how this fucking movie plays out next. It just keeps getting crazier and fucking crazier, dude. This motherfucker, I used to like this motherfucker, dude. I used to like this motherfucker the way I liked Obama in the beginning. Now, I can't wait to see his own people fucking eat him like the fucking sacrificial lamb that he's making himself out to be. What a fucking coiffed hair douchebag. Look at that fucking haircut.
He is Justin Trudeau.
I would love I'm sorry.
The state go ahead.
Tim, I'm going to get Tim Hamilton to come on here. I'm going to reach out to him and reconnect with him. I want his take on this. I might be wrong, but I think Tim is more leaning towards how we look at things politically. But as a Canadian, I would love to see who holds dual citizenship here, I believe. I would love to see his take on this guy. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay. So after Give Send Go said to the Canadian Prudential, the state government of Ontario in Canada, go fuck off on Thursday, yesterday, Justin Trudeau, who is Canada's version of our Joe Biden. He's Canada's president. Canada doesn't have the democratic republic that we do. They have what's called the parliamentary system. And the parliamentary system is really fucking weird. We could do a whole episode on me explaining parliamentary, but
Continue. I can hear you.
But he is their version. Okay, go ahead. He's their version of the president. And he hasn't made any efforts to actually try to negotiate an end to this. He's just come out with rhetoric. This is what he put out yesterday. I'll wait for Doug to come back.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I know you can hear me. I wanted to wait for you to be here on camera. So this is what he said yesterday to the nation. Now, think about this. He's the president of a country who currently there are 3 major border crossings that are blockaded and will not allow any traffic. Currently, Windsor and Detroit is blockaded and no traffic can go between Windsor and Detroit. Right now, that means it's estimated on the low end, that $600 million worth of goods travel through that border every day. So every day between Canada and the U.S., $600 million is being lost at the Detroit-Windsor border.
I would be curious to see if our cousin would want to come on. I doubt it, or at least talk about us in a phone call without it coming on camera.
I would love for him to come on.
I believe his wife still works in Windsor.
I would love for him to come on. My fear is our cousin would stop talking to us
because of the content.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
our positions. I truly fear that, and I love my cousin. I love him to death, and I love his wife, and I love his kids, and he's always welcome. I want to make that abundantly clear. Anyway, so Joe Biden yesterday came out and said, after the Give, Send, Go said go screw, Joe Biden said to Justin Trudeau, "Hey man, we're talking $600 million a day. This has now been going on for 3 days in Detroit and Windsor. You need to do something really quickly." And then the fearless governor of the state of Michigan came out and said that she recommends using violence and military force against the citizens to end this. Oh yeah, on CNN. On CNN, she went on CNN yesterday.
I would love for you to bring that video
up. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to bring it up. Think about why I won't bring that video up.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So after Biden and Gretchen Whitmer made their public announcements on what they wanted Justin Trudeau to do, here's Justin Trudeau's official press conference from yesterday.
Ontario's announcement this morning is responsible and necessary. We will continue working alongside all partners to get the situation under control. This morning, I had a direct call with President Biden to talk about our shared challenges at the border. I updated him on the situation, particularly in Windsor. We discussed the American and indeed global influences on the protest. We talked about the US-based flooding of the 911 phone lines in Ottawa, the presence of US citizens in the blockades, and the impact of foreign money to fund this illegal activity. President Biden and I both agree that for the security of people and the economy, these blockades cannot continue. So make no mistake, the border cannot and will not remain closed. I want to remind everyone that politicians don't direct police in a democratic society, but I can assure you that the RCMP is working with provincial and local police departments to enforce the law. Everything is on the table because this unlawful activity has to end, and it will end. Of course, I can't say too much more now as to exactly when or how this ends, because unfortunately we are concerned about violence. So we're taking every precaution to keep people safe.
Maybe don't go down the fucking car. This road, you fucking idiot.
For this to end is for everyone to return to your communities now. If you're still participating in illegal blockades, you're hurting your neighbors. It's time to go home, especially if you have kids with you.
Listen,
but we are a long way from ever having to call
you cocksuckers.
The military, although, of course, we have to be ready for any eventuality.
They cut this.
But it is not something we are seriously contemplating at this time.
Wow, Reuters. You just lost a notch in my face, Reuters. Whoa, did you fucking cut that right when the good part came? Did you notice that jump cut? Watch this.
I did.
Watch
I
this
know
again.
I saw it.
Watch it. I want our viewers to pay attention. Watch this again.
We have to be ready for any eventuality, but it is not something we are.
Watch
Especially
this.
if you have kids with you. but we are.
This
Yeah,
cocksucker. This cocksucker. Let me tell you how this all played out. Because now I thought Reuters was going to be the unbiased. Evidently, I was fucking wrong. So let's get this straight. Protests are legal and good, and you can burn buildings down as long as the cause I believe in is what you're believing in too. But when you're peaceful and you're just parking your truck on a bridge, I'm going to take your kids away from you. I'm going to arrest you, and I'm going to remove your kids from your house. This is bullshit. This is absolute bullshit. And I'm really pissed off that I saw this video where they cut it. I hate when fucking places do that. And here's the other thing. He also talked about using military action, and they cut up where he said, well, we don't want to use military action. Here's the sad truth. This is what this video was, what it was if you actually watch the uncut. If you've ever seen an animal dying, this is their death cry. Right now, truckers in Canada have brought the government to their knees. You know why? Because no towing service, A, will help them. Every towing service in Ontario said, we're not getting involved in this. We're truckers too, you dummies. And then the second thing is, towing companies told the government, even if you had tow trucks and tow truck drivers that were willing to do it, big rigs have compression brakes. We can't tow a big rig unless the person who holds the keys is willing to comply with the tow. You can't do it. You cannot tow a big rig without the coordination of the person who holds the keys. So they're fucked. They know they're fucked. And all they have to do is say, hey, all mandates across the state of Canada for every man, woman, and child are gone away. COVID's over. If you want to get vaccinated, by all means, please get vaccinated. That's what we highly recommend. If you don't want to get vaccinated, fine. You're not going to lose your job. We think you're wrong, but we're not going to mandate anything. And then all the truckers, if you said that, all the truckers would say, turn truck on, drive truck off bridge, open for business.
He came off in that video very much like my brain, my entire brain works in movies, music, video games, comic books. Like
I'm listening,
that's
BRB.
my life. That's cool. That's where I live my life in. Like I don't really. I mean, I'm just starting out to live in the real world, I guess, in a sense. But he came off in that video very much like if anybody's ever seen the Omen trilogy. Not my favorite film series. I'm not really into like demonic possession or the devil or that. Like, I mean, there's certain movies that I like. Last Exorcism is pretty dope, and Riding with the Devil is fucking sweet, and so is Red State, in a sense, which is not a devil movie, but it's a very religious thriller in a weird way. Anyway, the Omen trilogy I didn't really care for. I still don't care for, but the third Omen film in the series is not bad at all. And it's got, Sam Neill, very young Sam Neill, playing the character of an adult Damien. And that's how Trudeau came off. Like the way he portrays like if you've never seen the series, the third Omen film, Damien, the son of the devil, ends up becoming like the president. And I don't want to say the president of the United States, but he ends up becoming like the head of like a major company that affects global change. And it essentially fulfills the prophecy of the devil, like being reincarnated and the Antichrist coming into prominence and power and shit. That's what Trudeau sounded like. I'm not saying like that's who he is. I'm saying the way he just, to me, came off. I thought of a young Sam Neill as Damien in the Omen 3, like giving a speech to the public about what's going to come next. And I'm like, holy fuck, like this is kind of weird, dude. It really does feel like I'm living in all of my favorite movies as a kid, but it's just reality now. Like that's where we are now.
Yeah,
we're in reality.
When I see something like that, and if you watch the full unedited version, I go back to exactly what I said on this podcast. If you believe in mandates, whether you're a regular person, whether you're an elitist, a hardworking blue-collar American, whether you're a fucking president or a prime minister of a country, if you believe in mandates and forcing somebody to inject something into their body, you're one of two things. You're either evil or you're stupid. I challenge everybody, watch Trudeau's full unedited speech from yesterday, and you make the call. Is he evil or is he stupid?
Do you think like my brain always, like I don't want responsibility. All I've ever really wanted, and the older I get, I certainly cement this belief, like all I want is to live comfortably and happy I don't
That's
want
it.
static.
Same.
I don't want static. I just want people to get along with each other. I know that's not a possibility. I remember watching the movie Seven and thinking to myself, if people like that, and I know this is a film, but as a kid, I remember the first time I saw it, thinking to myself, people like this exist. I know it's not this movie's not real, but I know that it's based on some reality. So if people like this, like Kevin Spacey's character, exist in the world, how the fuck would you ever get world peace? Like I remember Steve Martin doing a sketch on Saturday Night Live during Christmas, talking about one of his wishes for Christmas was world peace globally. And I'm thinking to myself, if rapists, murderers, pedophiles exist in the world, how do you achieve world peace? And
You're absolutely right. And you know what? I thought about this morning, and I always think of everything through the lens of an American, which I need to start broadening my horizons because I've been around the world and I know how people live in other countries and I've seen it firsthand. So I've got to stop thinking everything through the lens of an American. And Canada's showing us that right now. But in America, religion has always kind of served as our moral compass up until the last 25, 30 years. And I'm not saying religion is the way to go. What I'm saying is religion has served as a moral compass. I'm not saying religion has to be the moral compass, but what I am saying is you have to have a moral compass as a community and a society. And I can say in America, we've lost a moral compass as we've diminished religion in our country. And I want so badly somebody to figure out and how to say to the masses, hey, here's our moral set of standards that we all have to live by. And it doesn't have to be the Christian values that kind of ran this country for 250 years up until, 20, 30 years ago. But it's got to be at least a common set of laws. Like, at a minimum, fucking children is bad. Can we all agree on that? Because if we can't agree on that, then we're lost. We're lost as a society. If we can't agree that medical mandates, regardless of what they are, whether you have to get an injection, a surgery, a lobotomy, whatever it is, to force that onto somebody is wrong. I thought we solved that in World War II with the Nuremberg Code, but evidently we didn't, because we can mask it by saying, well, the FDA approved it for emergency use. Well, the FDA approved it in 11 months. Well, it's fully approved by the FDA after 11 months, so you got to fucking put it in your body. Like, no government or government entity should tell you what to do with your body. And I know we can get into the abortion argument, and I hope everybody still remembers my point of view on the abortion argument. I don't believe the government should have anything to say about abortion. Morally, though, I think abortion is wrong. But I still don't think the government should stop you or jail you or do anything or have any involvement in it. Just like I don't think the government should have any involvement with any vaccine or medical procedure. So I am consistent across the board, even though I personally think abortion is wrong. I morally think it's wrong.
I personally don't believe abortion is wrong, and my opinion is, I think if it's from a reasonable perspective, where you were my personal response to abortion is this: it's the woman's choice; it's their body. Now, that said, if I was a man who impregnated a woman who wanted to have an abortion, I would at least want to have a conversation about it. Now, knowing me, if the viewers who, granted, this is our first episode from our YouTube channel as Sibling Revelry. The reality is, like, you probably wouldn't have much of an argument with me. I'm a guy who's all about financial costs, and that may sound like a fucked up way of looking at life, but the reality is, like, that's how I look at life. Like, I haven't gotten to 42 without figuring out how to carve out a life for myself where I don't have a lot of real responsibility. And it's not because I'm lazy. It's not because I don't want it. It's not because I don't think about what it would be like to be a dad. I certainly had those feelings and thoughts throughout my entire life. But for me personally, I'm a neurotic. Paul can tell you, Bob could tell you, John could tell you, anybody who knows me could tell you. My brain is a very neurotic brain. It's consistently in a state of worry. And when is the other shoe going to drop? And the idea that a guy like me would impregnate a girl and bring a kid into the world and then have to fucking help raise that kid, and not just raise it, but want it to have a better upbringing than I had. Like, that just sends off a whole other fucking slew of like fear bombs in my head. And I know people say, like, I've had a lot of people, I have friends who have kids who tell me like, well, when you have kids, it just becomes different. Like your whole life changes, your mentality changes, and it's like I don't know, man. Like I'm a fucked up. Like knowing me now is people know me. The people who really know me. Would you really want me being a dad? Like honestly, like I just it's something that I don't understand. Like it's not that I don't hate kids. It's not that I hate kids. I don't hate kids. I've said that as a joke in the past, but I don't know where I was going with that thought. I don't even know how we got on this topic, to be honest with you.
We're just talking about everything that's going on with Canada and like freedom, and I brought up abortion.
Thank you.
Kind of with that
Thank
abortion
you.
Trail.
We started going on. I did fan the emotion. I do believe that because I don't have kids of my own, and I don't know what it's like to carry a child. My opinion on the matter is different. My opinion on the matter is also from the perspective that because I don't have a kid of my own, my mentality is it should be a woman's call. There should be input. Personally, there should be a 50-50 input because it takes two to make something go bad. But that's not the world we live in. We live in a world with feelings and emotions, and people react to those more than they do rational and common sense way of thinking. But when we started talking about like the religious aspect of it, it's funny that you brought that up. It's funny that this is just the way the world we're living in right now. I watched. I was reminiscent to watch something this morning when I woke up. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I've been playing Middle Earth: Shadows of Mordor on PlayStation a lot lately, and I finally beat it this afternoon. I'm getting ready to go into Shadows of War, and so like I've been struggling to find stuff to keep my mind occupied because as I get older, my brain starts to deteriorate, and I get really bored really easy. And there's times where I sit in the chair for hours, like maybe an hour on end, where like I just stare at the screen doing nothing. Like it's an unhappy existence. But for whatever reason, I pulled up Netflix today, which is something that I don't really pull up. I know why I pulled it up because I was watching YouTube, and YouTube pissed me off because YouTube showed me a new Peacock original, a trailer for a Peacock original coming out called Joe versus Carol, with Kate McKinnon from SNL playing Carol Baskin, and it's a Joe Exotic dramatization film in Carol's favor. It looks fucking stupid. And that set me on a thing of like, I'm going to go watch Tiger King on Netflix. And I brought up Netflix and didn't realize that the Book of Eli was on Netflix. Now, I can't remember.
It's a great movie.
It's a wonderful movie. And I don't remember who wrote and directed it. I want to say James Marigold, who made Logan, did it, but I'm probably wrong. You could probably look that up quicker than I could.
Not now, I can't.
It's okay. It doesn't matter. Did you spill your beer on your keyboard?
No. I'm just drunk.
Basically, I watched that this morning. It's funny how this dovetails into this religious political aspect, but we talked about
you want to know who it was directed by?
Yeah, or who wrote it and directed it, actually.
Written by Gary Whitta, directed by the Hughes brothers.
Okay, I was off on both accounts. But regardless, it's a fantastic film. Beautifully written, beautifully acted, beautifully filmed. Great choice of muting the colors. Matter of fact, I think I've convinced myself into rewatching it after we're done with the podcast again, the second time in a day.
Great movie. I recommend it.
But there's a line in the film. It's kind of like the ending of Don't Look Up when it said, "We really had it all, didn't we?" Like that was the final quote. Like God damn it, I love Bob so much. I'm so glad that he recommended that movie.
You go on, but you just reminded me of something that I wanted to say earlier. But go on.
That dovetails into like quotes like that where it's we really at the end of a movie like that where it says we really had it all, didn't we? There was a quote in the Book of Eli that I looked. It resonated with me to the point where like I looked it up to make sure I got it right. But there's a couple quotes in the movie. One when Gary Oldman, I love how Gary Oldman, when he gets shot in the leg, like that's when the character you start to see the bubbling and the infection and the deterioration of the demons start to pop up. I love that entire fucking movie, so good. But I love when he's looking at it and he's like, "You got that book?" He's like, "I'd love to buy that book off you." He's like, "Truth is, if you leave this town, I'm gonna kill you and just take it from you." That God is good, isn't he? All the time. I love that fucking line all the time. And I don't even believe in God, but I fucking love that fucking line. There's a lot of aspects of the Bible, of religion itself as we know it, that I genuinely love. I don't believe in supernatural. And I'm not saying religion's supernatural, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like there's another word for it. I don't believe in something bigger than myself. I believe in what's here, what's now, what I can see, what I can touch, what I can smell. And when I die, God God willing, when I die, if everything works out the way I hope it works out, the way I believe it'll work out, like if we're made up of atoms, if the world is made up of particles, of tiny unrecognizable things that you can't see with the naked eye, I hope that I'm recycled back into the world the way nature intends me to be. That's kind of how I look at life. That's kind of how I look at death. But I
You
love
have a circle of life perspective, and that's
I
good.
do. It's just not beholden to what I was raised on, because what I was raised on, honestly, the way religion was presented to me was like, you need to feel guilty about every action you make. Not just every action you make, but especially the actions that give you absolute pleasure. If something makes you feel as good as it does when you have an orgasm shoot out the head of your dick, you need to feel fucking horrible immediately after. Like, that was ingrained in me for a long time. And it took a while to break that. Now I'm a freak, man. Like, I don't give a fuck. I wear nipple clamps. I don't give a shit, dude. What's up? Anyway, one of my favorite lines in the Book of Eli that resonated with me this morning after watching it, to the point where I had to look it up, was when he says, when he's talking to Mila Kunis, and she's asking what it was like before, because all she'd ever known was the world she grew up in. And the world she grew up in was after the burning of books, after the fucking skies were lit on fire from the nuclear war. And she says, what was it like? And he says,
I'll play back to my Pam and Tommy tape thing.
Yeah. She well, dude, when he brings in the fucking the original OG iPod to Tom Waits to be fucking charged on an old school battery setup, like, it was so good. But when she says, what was it like in the world before, and he just pauses and he says, people had more than they needed. I'm so fucked up right now. I'm getting emotional. Get ready to fucking read it, because it's not something I give a shit. Like, religion in that perspective is not something I give a fuck about. But this is a human. I think this is more of like a human emotion.
Absolutely.
When she said, "What was it like?" and he says, "People had more than they needed. We had no idea what was precious and what wasn't. We threw away things people kill each other for now." Which is it just, that shit fucking resonated with me, because in the movie, what people are killing each other for is bottles of shampoo and fucking books, because one person is trying to find the book. Oh, such a beautiful film.
It's this has always been eloquently put by somebody smarter than me, and I can't even name the person who quoted it. Good times make soft men. Soft men make hard times. Hard times make hard men. Hard men make good times.
You can't always get what. Can I tell you something? I really wish Tony would have stopped it, but I get it.
Hold on. I gotta finish this fucking point on the don't look up thing, because I meant to say to say it during the Daily Wire conversation. When I said I didn't want to watch Daily Wire because of their strong, like, right-wing political views, and that's what my mentality was, even though that's the side I believe in. Don't Look Up was written by a devout socialist, which is something I attest and abhor, but the movie Don't Look Up was entertaining. So if anybody out there is saying, I'm not going to watch a Daily Wire film because Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Boring are huge right-wing conservatives, take it from a guy who took a limb and watched Don't Look Up and really, really enjoyed Don't Look Up. Watch Run, Hide, Fight. That's my number one recommendation. Or watch Shut In. Even though you think it might be religious, it might be like super right wing, watch them, because it's a great, entertaining movie.
Like, all I got tomorrow to watch is the new episode of Billions, and I think there's one other show that's coming out now that I got to watch. Oh, Power. Fucking before I get sidetracked with Power, after the show or right now, write it down or jot it down so you don't forget, because we're both fucked up to where I'll forget to say it. Luckily, we have a podcast for this kind of thing, but still, jot it down, because I do want to watch. Tomorrow I'm off. I want to watch these. So text me all the info I need to figure out how to watch these, how to log in, whatever. But going back to other shows that I want to talk about that's in the media now, and I know it's something you probably have never seen, and that's fine. But this is for people who watch the show who are interested, and I'm not going to have Paul put links in the description. I could easily do that tomorrow when I'm sober. But what I'm going to say is there's a show. I can't think of her name. Courtney something. I'm going to fuck it up.
Love?
No.
Okay.
It was
First
Courtney Kemp. Courtney Kemp and 50 Cent, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, and Courtney Kemp created a show together a couple years back when I was still living in Florida, called Power. It was a Starz original, and it ran for, I want to say, 6 seasons. One of the best. If you like Tarantino, you like Rodriguez, you like hyper crime movies like Collateral with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx, like Michael Mann, shit like that hyper violent stuff. It is this wonderful fucking drama film about Chicago-born, maybe it was New York during Power. I know it's Chicago-born now, but gangsters who grew up together, creating this empire, this cocaine empire. And this entire series is like a Shakespearean play. Almost, it's like Sons of Anarchy, but in like the drug game. Mm-hmm. And when the show ended, it was announced that the creators, 50 Cent and Courtney Kemp, were creating a series called the Power Universe, and it was going to have spinoffs. And there's been 3 spinoffs so far. One of them was called Power Book 2, and it was about the main character of the series, Power, his son. The show continued after the first series ended and followed where his journey went. Then they created another show called Power. I can't think of the third one. It was about 50 Cent's character in the show. It was about his upbringing, the young version. It was a prequel show. I never watched it, never gave a fuck about his character in the show, so I never watched the prequel. But I'm sure it ties into the universe. The third show just premiered last Sunday called Power Book 3 or Book 4. God damn it. I can't think of the name of it now. It's got a name after the tag, like a tag name. And I can't think of the name of it because Power Book 2 is Ghost. Power Book whatever it is now, it's about the character Tommy, okay? It was played by an actor named Anthony Sikora. I'm probably butchering that guy's last name. His character was a main character in the series of Power. He was the white friend of the main character, Ghost, who grew up together. It was the only white guy this character grew up with in a sea of like black gangsters, was this white dude named Tommy. And the way he's portrayed by this actor, Anthony Sikora, he's a great character actor, is phenomenal. And when the show ended, all I could think about was, I want to know what happens to that motherfucker, because that motherfucker murders people like that, but feels something about it. Like, he knows he has to murder them for a specific reason, but it's still a fucking effect. And you get to see this emotional journey, the way he portrays him. It's a beautiful character. I highly recommend Power. If nobody's ever seen Power, seek that fucking show out. It's worth your fucking time. It's worth its weight in gold. And it has actors you'll all love, like from all walks of life, from things you all love. But they just started this new one where it's picking up on his character after Power ended. And it is so it's only 1 episode in. The second episode's tomorrow. So I need that's a fucking Doug, you are fucked up. That's my long-winded intro of saying, like, I need the intro to Ben Shapiro's movie universe. So like tomorrow, all I have to watch is the new Power, the new Billions, and then I want to watch the Ben Shapiro stuff.
All right. So
God damn it, dude. These shows are gonna be the death of me.
One, because we're kind of still on the news, I guess. The last thing I want to say about Canada is I highly recommend anybody who's listening to the mainstream media and is sold that Canada is a riot, that is horrible compared to January 6th. It's like 9/11 times 1,000. Please seek out the actual truth of people on the ground with cameras. And there's a lot of great independent journalists out there. Right now, I would say go look at Ottawak's channel. It's Otto, fuck, let me pull it up because I actually want to get this right because I want to get promotion. ATTAWALKS, Ottawaks. He just walks through Ottawa during these protests. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't interview people. If you're interested in people going through and interviewing people who are on the ground, and so you can see these terrorist, illegal not law-abiding citizens, I recommend watching Viva Fry. Viva Fry is part of LawTube. He's part of the Nick Rekieta crew, Legal Bites, Uncivil Law. And by the way, if you've never gotten into LawTube, get into LawTube. Viva Fry is a Canadian lawyer. He's been in Ottawa pretty consistently the last week. He believes in freedom of speech. He believes in freedom, period. And also another YouTube channel I'd recommend is Red Pilling the Masses. All one word, Red Pilling the Masses. I think she's out of Washington, D.C. What she does is she compiles all the streams in Ottawa from not only Ottawa, all around the world, but Ottawa, the border crossings, and Australia, France, and Israel, and she compiles them into one screen, and she switches the audio between them. And I think she's out of Washington State. Awesome channel. Shout out to her. But Autowalks, Red Pilling the Masses, Viva Fry. And if you haven't checked out LawTube, Nate the Lawyer, Uncivil Law, Legal Bites, Ricada Law.
Frankie McDonald!
These are lawyers who don't give law advice, but they break down the law for you like you're a 6-year-old. And they make you understand what the consequences are. And a lot of them are American, so that there's constitutionalism involved if you're an American listener. Viva Fry is a Canadian. Love him and Viva vivabarnes.locals.com. They have their channel together, an American and a Canadian lawyer talking about law things that go on. Highly recommend it. Get perspective, educate yourself. And that's all I have to say on the news. And Doug, that brings us in to the final segment of our show. Are you ready?
Oh, you don't think I had nothing else to say? You thought I was done? That's cool.
Well, no. There's the one more thing you have to say, and it involves the... If you want to go first, you can. I can go first. I don't have any preference this week.
You go ahead. You go ahead. I'm still thinking about it because I all I'm thinking about right now is like I am going to look up how to get in touch with Tim Hamilton because I really want Tim to come on. I'm going to be, but I'm excited because I genuinely want to talk to him. I miss Tim. He's one of my best memories of my entire life. Living in Florida is that man, his family, the opportunities he gave me, the opportunities I've squandered. But at the same time, I also know Tim because for many people watching the show right now don't understand that when I was growing up, when Paul and I first moved to Florida, it was 1996, June 4th, 1996. I could say that exactly because my dad and I moved all of our stuff in a U-Haul moving truck, and we stopped at Cracker Barrel on Palm Beach Boulevard under the I-75 overpass, right where we lived. We stopped at Cracker Barrel before we went to our new house, and we had dinner.
I worked there for 2 weeks.
I worked there for one night. No, I worked at the one on Daniels for one night. I quit after 3 hours. But I took a sugar packet from June 4th, 1996. Stabbing Westwards, Wither, Blister, Burn, and Peel was on the radio. And I had written the date on a sugar packet, which I still have. And when I helped Mom and Dad move back up here, we stopped at Cracker Barrel before we left, had breakfast, and I took a sugar packet and wrote the date on that sugar packet. I don't remember that one as well as I remember the one from when Dad and I stopped there on the move-in date, but it was 1996. I remember at that time, a girl in high school, like a year in, her dad worked at a public access TV station that did online auctioning. It wasn't online internet shit. It was the internet was still there, but it was public access television, and they auctioned off shit that was returned to Kmart or Walmart, falling off the back of the truck. It was broken, and we tried to auction it off for the best price to call in people. And I was asked to be a video host while I was in high school, and I'm afraid to ask Tim to come on because he recorded those early episodes on VHS that I was hosting, and I was a nervous bundle of...
Those are classic.
I was 17, 18, working in a crew, maybe even 19, working in a crew of adult men who were literally making Black Russians behind the scenes, were making cocktails and just getting fucking hammered while the show was being produced. And I was expected to carry it sober. I wasn't allowed to drink because I was the young one, and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I was making it up on the spot, and Tim would record those on VHS and play them on all the when you'd walk into TV Center. There was all of these TVs like that you could rent to buy, and he would have me playing on all the TVs and shit, and he would make fun of me. So part of me is excited.
Tim on Twitter? Is Tim on Twitter?
I fucking doubt it, but I know how to get a hold of Tim. I'll be able to find a way to get a hold of Tim.
Well, if Tim ever watches this, Tim,
he might be on
if
Facebook.
you have those tapes, if you could digitize them and get them to me, that would be great.
No,
if you don't have the ability to digitize them, I do. And I will pay any amount of money that is necessary for me to obtain those tapes so I can digitize them and share them with the word. Because we do have another channel that has to do with the Burke family and our home videos.
No, we're not plugging that. I don't want our family to know about this channel, so we're not plugging that. No, no.
Right. Well, I wouldn't plug that channel, this channel, and that channel. Is that your final thought, or do you have a final thought, or do you want me to go to final thought?
I would like to finish what I was saying before I get to the final thought. You're going to give the first final thought.
All right, well, then I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah, do what you got to do. Jesus Christ, we don't have any constraints. What are we doing? We got no bosses on this. I was just knowing his response to that performance of my hosting abilities. I am very hesitant to hand him this episode, being it our first. I'm going to hand him all of everything we've done, but I'm going to hand him this episode first as like this is the show you're coming on. But I guarantee you he's going to watch all. I don't know if he's going to watch all 3 hours. I fucking hope to Christ he doesn't watch any of it. But whatever he does watch, he's going to have lots of his own hot takes on it, the way he did when I hosted that fucking auction show. But yeah, I'm anxious to hear his thoughts as a person who's an American now, but born in Canada, has kids who hold dual citizenship in Canada and America. I believe. I don't know if Josh and Becca still do. I don't know if Adam ever did. But I would love to have him on. I would love to hear his thoughts on what's going on in the world today, and I would love to catch up with him. I'm just hesitant because I know he's going to just fucking hit me hardcore left and right, man, and tell some good stories. But go ahead with your final thought. I apologize.
Well, now that we've been 5 minutes discontinued, I want to play the graphic again because this one took me the longest to make. So, wrong one.
It's the one that did the wrong one.
How awesome that no matter how drunk I am, I still caught that in less than a second. And we literally have it on time. All right, final thought of the night. Educate yourself. Educate yourself on everything. Don't take anything at face value, whether it's coming from your side or the opposite side. And for God's sake, be you, be individual, and live free. I love you, no matter what you believe or who you are. You're always welcome here. And I hope you come back. That's my final thought of the night. All you, Doug.
My final thought of the night. Regardless of what you think, if you ever have the chance to just take the time to take a breath and actually hear me and listen to intent, or listen to anybody, listen to intent behind anybody, and just know that, like, we're not your enemy. I'm not your enemy. It feels like the world wants me to think that I am the bad guy. I was thinking about that today. I'm like, Jesus Christ, am I becoming that fucking shit, that shitty white guy that I used to think about that hung out with my dad at poker camps? And I'm like, no, I don't think I am. I know I'm not the bad guy, but it feels like over the last few years, it's been being heavily marketed to me in things that I love, that I should feel guilty for something that I had no control over, and I don't anymore. I really don't. I just want people to fucking be. I don't give a fuck. I say this week after week as my final thought, but it's the only final thought I have. At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck who you want to fuck, what gets you off, what makes you come, what makes you want to be a better person. The only thing I give a fuck is, are you fucking kids? Are you hurting women? Are you a detriment to society? If you're one of those three people, I don't give a fuck about you. You have no business being here. But other than that, be who the fuck you want to be. I don't give a fuck.
I gotta say, your final thought is fucking powerful and like inspiring. I've lately been watching old episodes of All in the Family and Sanford and Son, and I'm totally convinced that America was probably its best in the 70s, because that's when people had their beliefs, said what they wanted out loud, whether it was just or unjust, and still found a way to get along with each other, conduct business, and be happy. And I strongly recommend it.
I recommend going back and rewatching old shows like that and just kind of taking a breath, take a beat, have a breath, and just. Your feelings are valid. Your emotions are valid. I'm not saying that, but you're not the most important person. Maybe in your world you think you are, but you're not. I'm not. In my world, I know I'm not. If anything, he could tell you, Bob could tell you, John could tell you, anybody who knows me could tell you, I am my own worst critic. Like, I'm happy to laugh at people like Tim fucking with me because it's funny to me, because I have no problem taking the piss out of myself. I try not to be too serious. It doesn't happen all the time. I get bent out of shape and pissed off, but overall, at the end of the day, none of us are bigger than the other. None of us are more important than one another. We should be trying to lift each other. You know, fucking Scott Klopfenstein said it best on Bob and Doug Save You From Boredom. He didn't say it on Bob and Doug Save You From Boredom. He said it on a clip that I aped, from one of his Halloween live performances recently, where he said, "If nobody told you, you're doing a good job." And he said, I think in a world, the world that we currently live in, you need to surround yourself around people who are going to lift you up. The only thing that can be expected of us is to be in service of each other and to lift each other up. And I firmly believe that. Like I believe that, and at the same time want to reserve the right to have a few of these or have a few of these and fuck with each other, just bust each other's balls and make jokes and not be told that like your jokes are a fucking right-wing movement that are going to ruin the fucking world and life as we know it. I don't think that's the case. I think turning a blind eye to people we idolize and letting them take power and be put into charge of things, that's more dangerous than sounds that my vocal cords emit from my fucking idiot box. But who am I? Again, it says on my name. Honestly, it's one of my favorite Green Day. It's not my favorite Green Day album. Insomniac's one of the greatest Green Day albums. But American Idiot, I'm not a fan of the song. It's been overplayed in my opinion, but it's one of the greatest albums as far as narrative and theme goes. And I firmly believe it to this day. And that's exactly what I see myself as. I see myself as an American. Nowadays, as a man who's going to be 42, I am certainly much more patriotic as an American than I've ever been. But I am also acknowledging that I am a fucking idiot, dude. Like, my brain doesn't work the way a person who's a doctor or a scientist works. It just doesn't. I'll never understand that. You have to dumb it down into a science fiction movie for me to understand it. All I know is I just want everyone to be able to laugh and love each other and not get bent out of shape and not want to fight each other and go to war and kill each other over stuff that we shouldn't be killing each other over. We really should. Like, I was thinking about that today. I know this is the final thought. I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep you on, Paul, but I really was thinking about it today, like how we live in a state, you and I both, that legalized marijuana 2.5, 3 years ago now. Time escapes me when you're living my lifestyle.
I think it might be a little bit longer than that, but I could be wrong.
But we live in that state, and my personal stance on marijuana, in my experience throughout my life, is it's been something that's made me want to be around people. It's made me want to laugh with people. It's made me want to hear other people's thoughts, to see what people sound like when they're on that kind of inebriated kick, other than alcohol, because they're two different kinds of highs. And that was always the beautiful thing about it, was it wasn't ever about like, hey man, like dealers, certainly you whenever you bought weed back in Florida, like there were certainly people who wanted to be dicks about like, come on, just give me this amount of money and let's go. But for the most part, if you knew somebody who was like you, who was stoners, weed was never about like, if you were in a group setting at a party, it was never like New Year's, it was never about like how much money you got. It was about like, fuck it, let's share this. This is what it was for. It was meant to be shared. And I've always looked at it. I've given away more weed than you could possibly fucking imagine, Paul. Truly, I've given away so much fucking flour. When I first moved back here, I grew for like the first summer and a half with a friend of mine up here. I helped him grow his operation. He taught me how to grow plants, how to feed them nutrients, how to utilize the lights and shit like that. And now we both live in a state where we've legalized it, and it feels like everybody's mellowed out for the most part. But it feels so fucking corporate, like a Hot Topic-ish. You know what I mean? It's so weird.
Hold on. We have to make something abundantly clear. We're two different states here in the old grand state of Michigan. There's the Lower Peninsula and the Upper Peninsula. And I agree with you wholeheartedly on the Upper Peninsula. The Lower Peninsula is its own beast. Not speaking negatively of it, but it's its own beast.
Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't even think about that. But see, my brain doesn't work like that. When I think about Michigan, I forget that there's an upper and a lower Michigan. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still fixated on, like, I could tell you this. This is where my brain is at. My brain is, I've been here 4 years. It'll be 4 years next. It is 4 years now that I've been living here. But my brain has not processed what the name of roads are, what the name of certain highways are, like the main drags to get, aside from Camp 5 Road, like I can't think of the name that I have to leave here going down the hill to get to you. I don't know what that is. I can't think of the name of it, other than it's Superior Avenue, and after a point it becomes M something or Highway something.
M69.
My brain, M69, 69. But that's where, that's where my brain is. My brain is still back in Florida, where I could tell you on Mondays I was in Fort Myers Beach and South Fort Myers Beach, Bonita Springs, close to Naples. Tuesdays I was in Cape Coral. I was in Matlacha and Pine Island. When, you know what I mean? Like, my brain is still there. Like, my brain operates on Florida, Southwest Florida, specifically Fort Myers and Cape Coral, like lifestyle. Like, I know roads and addresses and phone numbers from Florida at 4 years later that, like, I still haven't memorized. Like, people, good friends I have up here, I haven't memorized in 4 years. I don't know their fucking numbers off the top of my head.
No, I agree. But
that's my final thought is. My final thought is kill it with kindness. If you feel, I tell this to a lot of people who I text with and message with about like what it's like in their work day, and like, oh, I'm going to strangle somebody. Kill it with kindness. The more I get older, the more I say just we try and love each other, man. And if somebody's a dick to you, as I get older, it's more fun for me to kill with kindness because it pisses the person who's being a dick to you off more because they're trying. You can understand when people are trying to get under your skin, and it's more fun for me to watch it on their face as they get more frustrated by the kindness that you throw back at them. So that would be my final thought for this week, kids. I'll work on a better final thought when I'm not fucked up for next week. But my final thought is kill them with kindness. Be kind to everybody. We're all here. Bill and Ted said it best. Be excellent to each other.
Agreed. Just quick plugs to go around. Thank you for watching. If you're watching it here, whether you're watching on YouTube, Rumble, or Odyssey. If you're watching on Odyssey, Odyssey will be up as soon as we're done here. I'll go ahead and uploading it onto Odyssey. Follow us on Twitter and Getter. Also, in the description we have the links for everything for Sibling Revelry across all platforms, including Twitter, Getter, as well as Odyssey and Rumble. Also follow Brothers from Other Mothers. Links are in the description for Facebook and Twitter and the YouTube page. And we will also get the Bob and Doug Save You from Boredom in the description. You guys are currently up on YouTube and Twitter. Is that a correct statement?
That is a correct statement. And we are coming back with season 2. Fingers crossed in April. I got to talk to Bob about it. Or before that, I got to get the administration passed for StreamYard. But yeah, that's something I want to start coming back with. I want to start doing more of this. I love this. The fact that I know you're trying to get to your thing. 3 hours and 13 minutes. I love it when honestly, I do another fucking hour. I've got 3 more beers in the fucking fridge. I love doing this shit. And I want to do more podcasts. And I'm ready to do one with Bob. I'm ready to do more Brothers from Other Mothers. I fucking love podcasting. I'm sorry. Continue.
Last thing is audio podcasts. You know this because you handle that side of it. Is Brothers from Other Mothers the only one that's currently up on audio platforms?
Bob and Doug Save You from Boredom is, and this one is not. I didn't do one when this show was called Brothers from the Same Mother. I didn't do one because I didn't think people would want to listen to a 3-hour podcast audibly. Granted, Joe Rogan goes for longer than that, but we're not Joe Rogan. And I honestly thought this was a better visual podcast with all the guests dropping in. So I never created an account. I can create one for Sibling Revelry if you want me to. We gotta create an email for it. There's a whole process of getting everything going.
We have an email. We actually have 2 different emails. We have an admin email and we have a social media email.
I'll make you a deal. Let's talk because I've already downloaded the first 5 episodes of Brother from the Same Mother. I've downloaded the MP3 audios to my phone personally. We'll talk tomorrow when we're both sober.
But for audios, Brothers from Other Mothers is on audio, and so is Bob Doug Save You from Boredom.
On iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere you stream podcasts, we're on just about every podcast platform. There might be a few we're not on, but Brothers from Other Mothers, Bob and Doug Save from Boredom, yeah, we're on Spotify and iTunes. But it's funny, it's amazing to me the people that find the show and listen to them from all over the world, fucking India, Japan, like it's just fascinating. Yep. And those 2 podcasts in particular have a wide-reaching global audience, and it's no part in thanks to Tony Andrew. I firmly believe that.
And I just want to say we love you all, no matter who you are, where you come from, what your race is, what your political background, what your sexual orientation. Everybody is welcome here. Our opinions may not align with yours. We hope that doesn't dissuade you from listening to us. And we hope that doesn't dissuade you from participating. Comment, like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. Because we do listen, we do look at it, we do care, and we want to actually be outreaching. We want to open dialogue. And if there's anything that's free here at Sibling Revelry, it's the speech. We love you guys. Have a good night. We'll see you next Saturday.